I don't get to get stoned like everybody
man.
else. It's not fair.
I'm sorry.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? Thank you for watching. Thank you for being in the room, and thank you for watching this in the future. Uh, so today I'm here with Bobby Dizzle, as always. Of course, you can go to bobbydizzle.com to check out his links, and you should definitely subscribe to his YouTube channel. And then we have a returning guest, John, Wreaking Havoc 215, who also has a YouTube channel. And this is actually kind of like a follow-up video. So we did a video together, and it's called "A Lifetime of Alien Abductions." It's about like 2 hours long, a little bit longer, but we really go into detail about John's timeline of paranormal experiences up to the present. But yeah, to me, the most dramatic things that happened to John was like a abduction experience. He basically saw at least one gray alien, pretty close up, gray type alien, and then he woke up in a different area, and it was very strange. But he's got a whole bunch of other things that have happened to him as well. But like I said, we'll touch on those, but you can watch that video if you want to catch up. But yeah, we just want to get an update today. One of the things that John does is he also has started photographing or filming a lot of the strange things that follows him around. So it's not really specific to an area; it's more specific that John's been seeing or observing strange things that he records that follows him around. And we're going to be sharing some of those images and videos as well. Yeah. So
Awesome.
let's. I guess Bobby, do you need some more time? I'm sorry, I messed up your whole system earlier.
No, it's ready. If you just hit the
ready?
share
Okay.
thing.
All right, here we go. Add to stream.
I see it.
All right.
Is there a video in the files that we can start off with?
Yep. All the way down here. There's two of them there. Well, is there more? Yep, they're up here.
Those two might be the same one. It's whatever one's the shorter one. It might be around a minute and 20 seconds, I believe. I'm sorry I didn't label it properly.
That one's 58 seconds.
Yeah, kind of scrub through. If you can, I can tell you real quick if you just go pretty fast. There you go. Hold on right there. Hold up.
Scrub.
No, it's saying it's the other one.
Okay.
Sorry about that. I've been meaning to relabel everything and be organized. It's like, it feels like it's just so much work. It's like enough work just looking through this stuff. But, so, okay. How long is this one?
37 minutes. That's your big boy. It's like a feature-length film.
Yeah, I would scrub almost all the way to the end because I'm pretty sure it's the last 2 minutes of this one.
There's the last 2 minutes.
All right, let me see what happens. I thought I only sent you one video. Well, anyway, this is me recording outside. And this, okay, I can say is 100% a mixture of mostly bugs, but there are some orbs out there as well.
Okay, well that's a good study then, and we could compare it.
Yeah.
So basically, to give a little go ahead, John.
I'll say the reason I say that because a lot of these are coming directly towards the camera, which means they're coming directly towards my house, and I don't think these things are just hitting my house and dying, you know.
Yeah.
So this is not the one.
There's another one in here.
I hope I didn't send you the wrong ones.
I think it's all the videos.
Really?
Yep.
Well, we can go through the. Oh, sorry about that.
All right. If you want to, you could. Me and Bobby could take over for a few minutes while you send it to Bobby. If you want to do that, that's an option.
You can put it in this Google Doc.
Okay. 1 second.
We're high tech here. Got Google Docs.
All right. So yeah. So just let us know when you're ready. No rush. But I'll give some context to what's going on here. What we're going to be looking at. So basically, we're going to be looking at some photographs, still images, and video that was shot by John, and it was shot with some special technology. And I think there's a bigger story going on here with this technology. So the technology is basically an infrared camera. Okay, so it's interesting because this is relatively new. I don't think it was commonly available. You could easily get infrared video when I was a child, let's say 30 years ago or so. So a lot of people are getting infrared cameras now, and they're using them. The primary reason is to shoot things at night. So it's kind of like night vision. The way it works is the camera has a special emitter on it, a device on it that emits infrared light. So this is a certain type of light that is invisible to the human eye. So that light goes out into a dark environment, and then it bounces back, and then you could see an image. It forms an image. And a lot of people have been catching orbs or things that are flying. Now, what's really interesting is that there's obviously something there, and it looks really wild. It looks like you're looking at an ocean or something, a coral reef with all the fish.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, this is a new phenomenon because, I mean, perhaps it's always been going around, but what's new about it is that people have just now started using infrared cameras. Now they're cheap and they're available. And so it's something new to human society. And I think that's a big picture part of it. But yeah, that's a lot of what John has gotten. And the other thing is that, I guess there's two people out there really that have different claims about these videos. Now, the one group says that there's something extraordinary going on here, something that's worth investigating deeper. And the reason they cite it is perhaps the motion of these orb-like particles, the way they move. They see intelligence there. And then there's another group, with the other loudest group, who says that what you're seeing is actually dust or pollen or skin cells or really tiny insects. And the reason they say this is because, the infrared light would, if there is dust in the air, it would bounce off and it would make an image. Now, there is truth to that. I mean, obviously, dust can be filmed, and dust can be filmed in digital camera. So I don't think anybody is arguing that doesn't happen. That does happen. But the question is there something else going on? And what it's going to take a lot of time and energy. But one of the things I would love to do is run an experiment scientifically to show that for sure it's not just us, and then we can move forward. And what's interesting, John has already done some of these trials already, so, and the results are already interesting. We have some preliminary results. So one of my ideas was, let's get to John's apartment and let's get a filter, like a HEPA filter, like a certified air filter. It's supposed to get rid of all the dust and particles. And then let's film and let's see if we still get the activity. Well, we were seeing some videos earlier, and the filter's in the background. It's running perfectly great, and there's still a bunch of orbs in there. So what's going on there?
Yeah, I have it running right now. It's right next to me.
Yeah,
same one. It's a good filter too, and for the size of that room, that was the perfect size, and it was supposed to take out 99.9% of all particles and odors in the air for a room that size, and there's still that much activity going on.
A lot of activity. Yeah.
And do you know where I think I messed up is I was told in the beginning by a few people to keep the fan in my room off because people might think it's dust blowing around. But I wish I always kept it on because it would show them going towards the fan, going against the breeze. So I wish I would have done that because I purposely turn the fans off all the time before all my recordings. So I just uploaded the video. I just have to put it in the file right now for Bobby. Then he should have access for it. Sorry about that.
Yeah, it's no problem, man. No problem. We're glad to have you on. Yeah, that's another easy way that we've been thinking about testing the dust hypothesis, the pollen hypothesis. And so all you do is you film what's going on, and you put a strong fan, blowing in one direction. And you could even put like a little streamer on the fan, so you could see how the motion of the fan is. And then what you would assume would happen is that the dust would be blown away by the fan, and the orbs would be going away from the fan. But if you're getting orbs that are going toward the fan, that kind of contradicts the pollen hypothesis.
Yeah, and actually, the video that we're about to watch is gonna have a orb flying towards the fan, so we're gonna actually see that tonight.
Which one's it in?
It's in Wild Tree's file. I'm labeling it right now, Bobby Dizzle, and it's in there.
Let me say hi to everybody.
Have access to it now.
While we get that sorted out, thank you, everybody. I see some new faces here.
Or Untitled
we got My
Video
Paranormal
Made with
World.
Chip Champ, one or the other.
Paranormal Underworld. Hey, how y'all doing? Thank you for being here. I'm doing great. I'm really happy to be here. We got My Flock is Everywhere, Sarah. Sarah was a great guest. We just talked to her yesterday, so if you want to check out that video. Sarah is very intelligent, very well spoken, and she knows a lot about birds. So we're talking about mythical birds. And then we got Scotty B, who says, thank you for being here, Scotty B. He says, hey, Wild Dreams. I like that. Is that a new name? And then we have Betty, a double kick chick. Thank you for being here, Betty. And then I know we have, let's see, Kevin. Thank you for being here, Kevin. And let's see, Melinda. Thank you for being here, Melinda. And also shout out to welcome to the show, Ayawax.
Well, there it is.
Maybe it's still loading or something.
Oh, it's still loading. Yeah, it's still loading. It's still processing.
To say Bobby Dizzle.
I found it.
Oh, right. Okay, cool. Man, I wish I knew what I was doing. It would have happened a lot quicker.
I gotta tell you, I enjoyed the behind the scenes nature of podcasts, and I don't mind this at all.
Well, this is how we learn, right?
Yeah.
If only I had a personality, we could make this funny.
So yeah, well, let me talk about this video real quick while we're getting it up
all right.
and ready.
Yeah, set it up for us.
As I viciously click refresh.
So one night I had my camera on the windowsill recording outside what looked like orbs flying around. And I grabbed my camera with my hand to bring it in, and something told me to put it back outside. Like something didn't tell me, but I had that feeling like put it back outside. So my fingers around the lens, like half the lens, that's what you're gonna see. That's what you see in the picture, because the way I'm grabbing it. I just like gripped it up real quick, and I just threw my arm right out the window. You're gonna see all this in the video. And when I throw it out the window, you're going to see these lights that look like they're flashing in the upper left-hand corner real quick. It happens so fast. And, that happens. Then I bring the camera back in. When I bring it back in, there's going to be a few orbs that fly around, one by my face, and one goes directly towards the fan. And then when we go back to look at the footage, the screenshots, we're going to, looks like a triangle craft in 4 frames, and it looks like there's beings in maybe 15 frames. It's not like, to me it's pretty clear, but I've been recording the stuff like this for so long, so this stuff on film like kind of has like a style to it. You know what I'm saying? Everything has like this style that kind of looks similar. It's pretty crazy.
And Bobby, I was wondering, while it's loading, would it be too hard for you to find that one video we were watching earlier with the orb the orb in the middle that's kind of slowly moving and really bright? We could just watch that in the meantime, just to get an example.
That's it, isn't it?
It was different. It was like, it was just different. You know what I'm talking about, John? Which video I'm talking about, where it's just like kind of right in the center?
Oh yeah, it was in my bedroom. There's like an ab crunch machine in the picture.
Oh yeah, it's got the
yeah, right there in the middle. And I think this is a good video because the speed it's moving.
I forgot watching this one.
Now, is this slowed down at all, John, or is it just regular speed?
This is regular speed. You can tell by the clock in the corner.
Right. That is very unusual motion.
And then as it gets closer to the camera, the motion sensor picks it up and tracks it.
Right.
that wasn't a highly that room didn't have too much activity, but it once in a while, it did, but not as much as the living room.
Once again, I think what's really fascinating here, even if there's nothing weird going on, what's really fascinating is that we definitely something is happening in the video. Something is being caught there. And even if it's dust, to me, that's interesting. Like we're seeing things that we don't normally see. I mean,
Mhm.
what kind of secrets could be there? I mean, let's just say it was dust. Even if it was just dust, what kind of secrets are there? What can we learn from this kind of stuff?
This is my thing. I like to say is like I'm not like I'm not a genius, but I'm not dumb either. I wouldn't spend years and this much time and effort recording dust. You know what I'm saying? At some
Yeah.
point, I would have been like, okay, this is dust. Like, but no, it's the more I go, I would say the footage just gets a little bit better and more convincing, more compelling. You know.
Here
So
we
yeah,
have a
I'm not
question.
like sure.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead, John, if you want to finish your thought.
No. I'd like to answer the question first, guys.
Mindy.
Okay, so Mindy or Melinda says, "Are there any specific ideas to what orbs are? I don't know much about them. Is it just energy? Wild trees? Did you say people think they have intelligence? Thanks. So I'll answer that second part. Yeah, a lot of times, and I think we'll see some videos probably today. But the way they move around, um, it looks like it's changing direction sharply. Looks like there's some intelligence behind it. Now, John recently had an interesting hypothesis that I hadn't heard of what these orbs could be. Because there's lots of different orbs. Like some people see orbs without a camera, in the woods or outside, and I think some of those really dramatic ones are probably ball lightning, which is a real phenomenon, but it's rare. It's a plasma ball. There's all kinds of orbs that people see. Some of them are sinister. But if we're talking about these orbs right here that we're talking about tonight, the videos we're seeing, John had an interesting hypothesis about them being like Ubers. You want to describe that, John, in your own words?
Yeah. So the way I came up with this is that a lot of times these orbs change into something else, either be like a face or whatever. They change into something, and sometimes they change into things that have multiple faces in it. Uh, Plus, people have seen other things inside these orbs too. Like there's so many different. So I think the orbs like the base way for travel for majority of phenomena. I would say majority can move around like this is what I think. You know,
Yeah.
I think that just because of what I recorded, I didn't think that anything close to that before I recorded any of this. I just kind of call it how I see it and try to put it all together the best I can. And since I see different things come out of these orbs, but they're all orbs that look the same, like they're coming from somewhere, they're going somewhere, and as they're going by me, they're showing me what they are real quick as they pass by, and then they keep going to their destination.
Absolutely.
So I think I'm
Yeah.
pretty close on that, I believe.
Yeah. So yeah, that's interesting. I thought that was really interesting. Yeah, the idea is out there that these are probably there's something intelligent inside them, and what made John think about this is that he was seeing he would do a freeze frame of an orb, and he would see faces, one face or multiple faces, and that's what got him thinking that these could be something moving around or a transportation system of some kind,
Yeah.
which is interesting.
And to be honest, like when I try to come up with these theories, I try to only use uh, my own evidence and I guess my own experiences,
Mhm.
and that's how I try to come up with some of these theories. Because I mean, this is evidence. Some of it's evidence. I'm not gonna say all of it's solid, but there's definitely some evidence of something here. And if you have evidence, you have something to work with to figure something out, right?
Here's your video,
It's
by
true.
the way.
Okay.
Oh, great. So yeah, you can see me. I grabbed the phone with my camera with my hand as my finger, and I stick
Finger.
it
Yeah.
out the window. And right here and right there, all those lights.
Mhm.
Uh, it looks like the majority of those are faces. A lot of alien faces. There's one that looks like a alien and a dog in the sky, and a triangle craft. All that happens right in there, and like 2 seconds after.
I do see that. Yeah.
And so what's crazy is I dismissed this for 2 weeks. I thought it was the IR light reflecting off my window, right? I didn't think nothing of it, because after this, I bring the camera in, there's orbs, and that's what I was concentrating on. And like, this is not, one day I was in the bathroom, and I'm like, oh my God, that couldn't have been the glass. My arm is out the window. There is no glass. And I went and rewatched it and zoomed in, and what I saw was just mind blowing.
That's really crazy.
So,
yeah.
If you rewind this,
it's a live look at your mind blowing.
Yeah, because I just saw I'm looking at my security camera on my phone. And I just saw the orb fly by me, and that's why I turned my head. I was like, oh shit. So if you rewind this back to like while I was looking out the window, yeah, right by here. If you just let it play out, there's a few that fly around. And I want to let you know, like, while I'm recording it, I'm unaware of all this. I just stuck my camera out the window, blindly recorded and brought it in. You know,
Right.
I just had that gut feeling to just try to stick it out the window real quick. You know, yeah, so I grab it, I bring it in, and then I'm like, oh shoot. I stick it back out, and then I get that while my hand's out the window.
Right. I see that.
But I don't see it. I just know to have it out there. If I knew it was there, my finger wouldn't be covering it. Like that killed me. My fingers covering the lens. But the feeling was just to grab it and go. I wasn't thinking at all. It was just such a quick reaction.
Wow.
So
that's pretty crazy.
Now when we go through these screenshots, I took a screenshot of most of the frames. So we'll be able to zoom in, and that's where you're gonna, in my opinion, see some crazy stuff. Yeah, so I set it back up in the room, and then this is when the orbs start. This is the part of the video I was concentrated on, And there's the fan I was telling you about, the fan zone.
Right.
It was a weird feeling to stick my arm out the window. It's like nothing told me to do it. I was just all of a sudden, oh shoot, stick it out there real quick. And I set it back up, and so I have no idea I recorded anything. I have no clue. I'm just like whatever. And I grabbed my phone. There one went by. You see it went right.
Yeah, I saw that one.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you can see my shirt. The fan is blowing on me, so you can see another one went by. And I'm looking at my video footage live on my phone, and I think I saw something. So you're actually seeing my reaction to these things flying around. It's a little delayed.
Right.
And then that's like pretty much it. But when we look at these screenshots, we're gonna see there's a lot of things that happen. Like I was like, what was that?
You want to go to the screenshots now?
Yeah, that's pretty much, that was it for that.
Yeah.
Cool. But
let me find that, man.
The stuff outside in the skies is I believe that it should be looked at a little more.
Here's another question.
Deeper.
Here's another.
Sure.
Okay, so Mindy says, do orbs just disappear as you watch them, or do they leave the field of view? Have you ever seen one disappear mid?
They're all different. Some will be around while I'm in there, like while I'm in the room. Some will follow me as I leave the room. Some do disappear. They're all different.
And you've also, I'm trying to remember. Didn't you have a video once where it goes into something and it comes back out, or does it just go into something or come out of a wall or something like that as well?
There's many like that. Like some look like they're pouring out of a corner of the room. Like they'll just pour out of the room, like as small ones, and they'll get huge, and they'll just go off camera. They'll go in different directions, up, down, left, right, towards the camera, away from the camera. Uh, Big, small, bright. I've seen black ones. Some change in the faces. Some change in the aliens. It's such a variety, but they all start as an orb. I
Right.
think that's like the key to this. Like, they're all coming from the same thing. At least when I'm recording, everything's different for everybody. There's people that record like this. See that picture? The lady in the grass with all those orbs around her? Yeah. I'm gonna have a guest coming on that have pictures like that. They just go outside. All they gotta do is take a picture. Like they know to go outside and do it. Like that's like how their orb experience is. It's different for everybody, but the orbs are like the common thing to everything. I think that should be researched more.
Yeah, I talked about how orbs are very interesting as a shape, but the circular sphere shape is very interesting. Well, first of all, that shape is very prevalent. I mean, that's the shape of our planet. A lot of planets are shaped like like spheres. The other thing I remember hearing about these deep sea submarines. Okay, so a form of travel, a deep sea submarine, and I was reading that the submarines that go really really deep, they have to sustain all this pressure. Because when you think about it, the deeper you go, you have water, all that water on top of you, and water's heavy. So you have to have something very strong to sustain that crushing pressure. And what shape do they use to sustain the most pressure? It's a sphere. A sphere is the best shape to contain yourself and protect yourself from all that pressure. So yeah, spheres are very interesting for a number of reasons.
Yeah, and even when they change throughout their flight, I would say they always
Mhm.
go back to the orb. Like they'll start as an orb, they'll change into whatever they're going to change into, and then they'll go back into the orb and just go off. And it happens with like within frames of a second.
Right. And then Mindy has another question. She says, "What's the largest orb you've seen, John?"
I'll say like a soccer ball. It's a little
Whoa.
smaller than a basketball. It's a little smaller than a basketball, right? I think
In
it's a
person
soccer
or on
ball.
on film?
In person once, on film maybe like 3 times.
So you saw an orb the size of a ball?
Yeah,
Jesus.
Yeah,
but
I've seen one too.
it was like it was whitish. It wasn't like because some people see ones that look like plasma balls. Like that's crazy. Like I've seen pictures of those. It look like just balls of plasma, like in the sky, like in the like floating above the ground. Uh, they're wild. Like they're orbs too, but that's something I've never seen that. But I've seen pictures of them. It's a whole different type of orb, but still an orb. So
Yeah.
something's up with that, in my opinion. So all right, we can let's say ready to look at these screenshots.
Yep.
Yeah.
I
Let's
was
look at it.
I was
Chat
scrolling through
GPT.
while you were talking, but yeah.
Yeah, that's all. So these are the screenshots from. We can start here. Here's a perfect one. As you can see, it kind of looks like a triangle craft. It was only there for 4 frames, but I got all 4 frames. And what the direction is going right now is actually reverse of the video. It started up high and went down, is how it went. But those are the screenshots. I mean, that's pretty interesting to me. And for me, it's more compelling because I recorded it. You know,
Hmm.
I tend to record some strange stuff. And this is the first time I ever recorded something like this. These are only 4 frames I've ever recorded of what I think is a triangle craft. I can say I'm pretty sure that's what it is, considering the other screenshots we're going to see now coming up after it.
All right.
I'm looping back to that triangle. That's amazing.
I tried to zoom in. I tried to use every filter I had on my computer. I cannot get any shape to that whatsoever. Nothing even close. Just the 3 lights. I tried so hard to show there was a triangle. So you
I
can
forgot I
zoom
could
into
zoom in.
this.
Yeah, fuck,
We
I've
can
been
all.
pissed. Let me go
Uh,
back.
It's okay.
Hmm. Yeah, very curious. What is back there, John? Are there any lights? I mean, what was in that direction, basically?
It was if you remember uh before this in the video when my camera was just sitting on my windowsill, I was just recording. There's a roof in front of me, and there's trees, and then there's a whole other strip of townhomes behind the trees,
Okay.
and then there's the sky is up higher. So I don't know what direction I'm pointing this in. I'm doing this blind, and I
All
don't know
right.
I'm recording this. I'm just blindly sticking my camera out. I have no idea this is happening, and to me, that's the craziest part. Like I stuck it out, and if you notice, as soon as I had my camera out, those lights appeared like that. It was like I said, I had that feeling. Stick the camera out. I
Right.
did it. That's why I grabbed it like I like manhandled that thing. I didn't even think they grabbed it properly because it just said just grab it and stick it outside. Like that's how I felt. I wish my finger wasn't there. I would have gotten so many more frames of footage, you know.
Right. Absolutely.
But it's
Absolutely.
like they gave me enough. But if you zoom into that last picture, if you don't mind,
That one?
no, the one with the one head. Keep going back. Yeah, this. Yeah, can you go a couple more? This guy. If you zoom all the way into him, it looks like a gray face. You can with the eyes. You know,
Hmm.
I'll, what's frustrating is like everybody has an idea in their head of what evidence looks like to them, like what they want to see as evidence. And this stuff is so frustrating how it works because it's not like in your face stuff. It's not as clear or no, like in your face, flesh and blood is how you would want it. It's like
Right.
they give you just enough. Like I think that looks like a Gray's face, in my opinion, and the rest do in the video as well. But you can't say for sure. But it's just enough for me to know. You know what I'm saying? Like it's enough for me to like
Mhm.
to notice or catch on to that. I think that's kind of the point. Like here's just enough for you to handle. Just look at a little bit of this, take a little bit of this, like almost like being spoon fed information, kind of. Yeah, so
Right.
these look like rows of faces, and when you change these frames, they start changing, and they kind of
Hmm.
phase in and out.
Mhm.
And
Very interesting.
one of these frames, it looks like there's my dog with one of these things in the sky. So you see how the faces are forming? Like now they have eyes and cheekbones. So these these six things here or seven
Mhm.
are all the same one in each frame. They're just kind of phasing in and out individually. You know what I'm saying? So it's like six. All these are individual things that are phasing in frame by frame, and you can see them. Some of them you can see their nose and cheeks more. Some you can frame you see their eyes better. But if you play it kind of quick, you can see it kind of morphing. It's crazy. Yeah, I don't know how
How
else to explain it.
how close do you have to zoom into the lights, John? Are
Here's
we
a good
zooming
one.
in enough?
That's as far as I can go.
Okay. Okay. Just
Okay, so do you see the one in the middle? One, two, three. I'll say three from the right.
yeah.
So I have pictures that are zoomed in further, um, but it looks like that's my dog's face, and behind it there's a being looking down to the right, and you can see his right shoulder. I don't know if you can make that out, how small that is.
Right. No, I think it'd have to be bigger. What about you, Bobby? What do you think? Are you,
I'm looking at it, studying back now, multitasking over here.
yeah. Thank you. You're our Jamie tonight.
I don't I don't want to
All
be a
right,
debunker, but are you sure this isn't Scott Starlink?
yeah. I mean, it's faces like
Okay, I was just checking. I was like, look,
yeah,
it
yeah,
hit
yeah.
me for a second. Wait a minute.
I mean, it's I didn't
That's kind of crazy though.
I didn't stick my camera outside anticipating anything like this. I'm just
You got
telling
some
you guys
close-ups too
like
over here. I saw.
Oh
over
yeah,
here. Here
these
we
are
go.
better. Yeah, perfect. So
There we go.
that's from a different incident. That's crazy too.
That looks like Artemis.
That one right there. Yep. So this is what I was saying. It looks like my dog and a something like a gray behind it looking. You see the black eyes looking
Oh,
down to
okay,
the
okay,
right.
yeah.
You see
Now I
like
see
the
it.
head and the shoulder, and you see the
Yeah,
dog's face.
yeah. I do
Dude,
see
that's
that one. Yeah.
crazy, right? Like I don't want to say that's what it is, but to me, that's I almost like know that's what it is. But you can see at least what I'm talking about. That's what it kind of looks like. What I'm saying. You know, it's hard for me to say 100% that's what it is, but I mean, I think I gave you guys a picture of my actual dog too.
Yeah, it's
I
in
did.
there.
Yeah, yeah. There it is.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Like I don't
Oh,
like make this stuff up, man. You know,
I saw it.
it's and it's crazy. But the thing is, it's like I was saying, everybody has an idea in their head of what this evidence should look like or what they want it to look like, you know. And this stuff is just simple stuff, man. I'm just sticking my camera out the window, but like there's something going on there. Is I think
and the other thing I was going to ask you is you said, to correct me if I'm wrong, but you said that you when you see these things, you think it's not an accident, and you're meant to see it. So is that true? And do you think that? And would that mean that this is kind of like a message for you? Do you interpret it that way, like you're meant to see this?
I think I am. I think I'm into it because this is how can I put it? I think this stuff, whoever's doing research and capture stuff like this, it's either A, they're meant to do it, or B, whatever they recorded messed up and they got caught. Is
Okay.
my opinion. Like, because we're not meant to see this stuff, obviously, right? Because most people don't. Like, I don't think we're actually really meant to.
Right.
But for the ones that can, they're kind of like give little hints and little, let you know they're there. But it's not like in your face like you would really think it would be, like always full figured ghosts and always flesh and blood beings. Like there's a whole space where so many things are maneuvering. There's a lot of stuff out there.
Yeah, I was going to say, you know what that reminds me of? That description you gave. It also is it matches exactly with UFOs. That's what UFOs do. UFOs are not always seen, but sometimes they are seen by certain people, and it's like they want us to see.
Yeah.
All right, so
And
we have. Can you go back to that one, Bobby? I was going to see what was going to talk about. Yeah. Okay, Rican. So here we have two of them again, and now they're pretty zoomed up. So what's going on with these?
So to me, the one on the right looks like a female face because of the shadow. What looks like shadowing of a cheekbone and above the eye. It looks feminine to me, right?
Okay.
That's how I see it. You can almost see a mouth if you look down below the nose. Like you'll see like the white shade of it kind of like dips in. So
is she facing toward the camera, or is she facing left or right?
No, directly towards it.
Okay, let's see.
Yeah, so the blacked out areas up high would be her two eyes, and then the light would be like her cheekbones underneath those eyes. I see it clear as day, and I can understand like why some people can't, for sure, because I've seen stuff and people be like, I don't see anything, but it's
What about you, Bobby? Are you seeing it on this one?
Well, also the one on the left I circled.
Oh yeah, I definitely see it.
I don't know what the one on the left is. I'm just circling because it looks like it could. Because see, like you see the one on the right is kind of clear. So now when you see stuff on the left that's similar but not as clear as that, you can almost assume what that's going to be. You know what I'm saying? So I try to find the clearest one and judge other stuff off that. Like yeah. Like right there, like the one on all the way on the left looks like a fat face, right? Like chubby cheeks, but it's not the whole face. It's almost like when you see like statues that like half the faces are broken off. You know
Reminds me
what I'm saying?
of the old comedy thing
from.
Can you zoom in on that one, Bobby? Are you able to go?
Oh, wait, it did go. Look at there.
Yeah.
Thought I was all the way.
There you go. That one I
how
see.
the
Yeah,
cheekbones, yeah.
that one I see very clearly.
So every frame, that's the same face at that position, morphing and changing.
Oh,
So
okay.
if you go frame to frame, you can actually see this face moving around and actually changing shape. You know.
Can you move over to
And,
the other ones, Bobby? The ones. Yeah. Thank you. All right. Cool.
and sometimes explaining this stuff sounds crazy to me, but I just tell you guys what I see, and
Right.
that's all I try to do. I'm not like I don't over exaggerate this at all. Like that looks like a dog, my dog, and an alien. I showed you a picture of my dog. You see it.
Right.
I can't say that's what it is for sure, but you know.
Yeah, that one I see. That one I definitely see. That's very interesting. I
It's
guess
almost
now.
this is something I want you to think about.
Okay.
What is that? Is that a F you, I got your dog? Or is that a hey, pay attention? Like what? Because there has to be something behind that, right? Because you see how it's looking in the background. That's like a sinister look, kind of. You can see almost that kind of detail from a $40 camera, which is crazy to me. So like, what's the intention of that? Like I don't know if that's like a threat, like or is it like an attention grabber, or it's just like, hey,
Yeah.
look.
No. To me, it's totally wild that we're able to get this much detail. I mean, there's a lot of information in these black and white. The separate lights we're seeing or whatever they are. When we zoom in, it's mind blowing to me that you're able to see so much intricacy.
Sure.
I'm not sure if detail. It's not clear. It's not like HD or anything, but there is a lot of
Yeah.
shifts in light. There's a
Yeah.
lot of information still there.
I mean, this was just a light in the sky. I mean, we saw the video. You see like how far away it looked, and we're able to zoom in that close, which I think makes it even more credible. Because I mean, that's detailed pareidolia. Like that's pareidolia doesn't get that detailed, that size. Like that's,
Right.
I don't know. So yeah, so what's the coincidence, like connection of when I pull the camera in after seeing or recording that stuff, then there's orbs flying around. Like all that happens, I think, in 30 seconds. That's a lot of activity if everything thinks, if it is what I think it is. Faces in the sky, an alien with my dog, a triangle craft, and 4 or 5 orbs in 30 seconds? To me, that's like, yo, look, like, pay attention. I mean, it's the crazy thing to me is the feeling of sticking it out the window. Like, I did it frantically, like my life depended on it. It was like, do it now.
Right.
But not with words. Like, it's weird. You see what happened when I did. It also, if you look, there's these two that are always at the far left together, right?
Mm-hmm.
We should look at those on the screenshots because they look like two grays, but they're there like the whole time, while the other ones are phasing in and out. Those two are kind of solid the whole time.
You got screenshots of those?
Yes.
Okay.
You might have to zoom in, but yeah, I try to take screenshots of every frame. But I mean, like, to me, this video is pretty crazy. It's a lot of stuff happening at one time.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's really interesting.
And me being totally unaware.
Yeah. I was going to say, it's kind of interesting to wrap your head around it. You kind of got to think differently than you normally do.
That's the hardest part, because to even think this is what I say it is, there's so many things you have to accept before you can even get to that point. You know what I'm saying? You just can't jump from like not believing into stuff to saying, oh my goodness, you got videos of aliens and UFOs in the sky. There's a lot of things you have to accept to even get to the point to believe this stuff is like real. I get it, because I was a skeptic myself. A lot of this stuff I don't believe in until it happens to me. That's all it takes for me to be a believer. But it's you gotta believe in a lot of things. First you gotta believe that there's life out there in the first place. Then you have to believe they can even come here. Then you have to believe they're taking people. Then you have to believe I'm one of them people, and then you have to believe that I'm recording this crazy stuff that no one else sees. There's a lot of things to process, but I get it.
Right. But yeah, it's funny. You have to get in that mindset if you're gonna go down the rabbit hole. Like if you're gonna investigate it, you have to do that. You have to make all those assumptions to really get to analyze it, which is what's interesting. It's almost like I'm suiting up. I'm putting my suit on so I could go down that whole rabbit hole and investigate it.
Yeah.
But it's fun. I got to say, it's fun. It is fun.
Yeah, and I can say anybody who like investigates or records stuff like this, my opinion, like if you're recording stuff like this and you want to go down the rabbit hole, they gladly pull you along. they might pull you along too faster than you want to be pulled along because
right.
Obviously we can call this communication, right? I think it's safe to say that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's a communication going on here at a distance. Like this is what I was saying earlier. There's some type of rules in place. Something somewhere somehow put rules in place. So all it is there's a rule in place where this stuff does not supposed to be known. I don't know, because they're kind of showing themselves, right?
Yeah.
Enough so I know, but just enough, not enough where I can go to CNN or Fox News and blow the lid off of stuff, but enough that I know, and it's at a distance. So it's like it's a game.
It reminds me of something. Were you about to say it's a game? Is that what you were about to say?
Yeah, it's a game.
Okay, well, I was going to say that's what I've heard about paranormal stuff at Skinwalker Ranch. So a famous researcher named Jack Valet, he studied stuff at Skinwalker Ranch, and so did Robert Bigelow. So I think it might have been Robert Bigelow or Jack Valet that said this. They said that exactly. They said it's a game. It's all about gaming. It's all about communication, but through a game. So the things that the researchers would go to Skinwalker Ranch, and they would have interactions with the paranormal things, but it was always a game, and it was always like, I do this, you do this, and that's interesting. You said that. The other thing. Go ahead.
Sorry. Go ahead. No, you're good. Go ahead.
I was going to say, just the other part about that is one interesting event that happened in Skinwalker Ranch, and Dr. Jack Valet investigated it. Basically, he was out there and in Skinwalker Ranch in Utah, a paranormal hotspot, and there was like a pond or something that was frozen, right? And basically, when they woke up, they saw that someone or something had carved a perfect circle, like an orb, right into the ice. And basically, I think what was odd about it was that nobody heard anything. There was no like footprints around it, because Dr. Jack Valet is a PhD scientist. I think he actually started measuring. He took pictures. He measured everything, and it was just anomalous. Another kind of game thing, like why did this thing we're communicating with just carve a circle in the ice for us to see? Another game.
I have a theory about that place. I think everyone's going about trying to get evidence there completely wrong. Right. I don't think you can just send a video crew in to get information or evidence. I think you need to take experiencers who actually have some type of connection to this stuff in there.
Okay.
Because they're the ones that they're gonna have the experiences. Like it doesn't, like, you're not just gonna take, like, in my opinion, like I would say someone who never has experiences isn't just gonna have one randomly somewhere. I don't think it kind of works that way, in my opinion. So like if you want a good chance to get some real information, send the ones in there that have the best chance to do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, go tie me to a tree out there. See what happens.
I agree with you. Because I remember during one time we were talking about in the Black Lotus Live, a show I used to do, which John was on as well. He was on an episode. There's a playlist on this channel called Black Lotus Live. If you want to watch all those episodes, there's a lot of good ones. My favorite episode is the one about black-eyed children, by the way. But John's is up there. Yeah, John's is up there too. We had a witness. We had a witness that saw black-eyed children. He told us his story. It was crazy.
I would freak out.
Yeah,
I would love. That's the one thing I don't want to see. That's the one thing I don't want to see. No thanks.
I would love to see them. I wouldn't mind seeing them.
I'm reason I own several nice guns.
Yeah, I don't want to beat up a black-eyed kid by accident and find out they have like a condition. No,
Yeah.
nope.
Yeah, that would be bad.
Yeah.
Oh man. What was I gonna say about okay, your episode was that oh dude, I lost it. It'll come back to
The
me.
Skinwalker Ranch.
Yeah, Skinwalker Ranch. Okay. Oh yeah. Now I got it. Okay. One of those episodes we talked about, we were discussing things, and I got a new idea because I was, I keep thinking that we need a machine. I keep thinking we need the equivalent to really understand the paranormal. We need the equivalent of a microscope or a telescope because we didn't understand the micro world or the celestial world. Humans couldn't do it until we had that tool, until we had the microscope or the telescope. So I kept thinking we need something like that for the paranormal. But then the other thing that I learned from talking to a lot of people in Black Lotus, a bunch of people influenced me. And it might not be my original idea, but what I was thinking was like, okay, I think the ideal combination would be getting a machine, right? Getting a device that helps you with the paranormal. But just like you said, John, you have to attach an experiencer with it. So the machine actually, it has to have two parts. It has to have the technological aspect, but then you have to have somebody as well who has all these things happening. And when you put them together, that's how we're going to get the tool. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, it's just how it works. Like I said, there's weird rules in place. Certain people can see certain things. We're not supposed to be all up in your face. And then my theory is the people who get like, let's say they feel like they're being attacked or possessed. Yeah. I think they're just beings who are just breaking the rules.
Okay,
right. They're just breaking the rules. Like they're the bad guys. They're the ones like we put in jail. Like why not? I think that makes pretty good sense. It would explain the separation between that world and this world.
Yeah, let's talk about let's talk about that a little more. Let's examine that idea, because I think it's fascinating, and that's what I love doing is discussing these ideas to see what kind of truth we could get out of the whole thing. So yeah, basically the idea is that, correct me if I'm wrong, John, but the idea is that people that experience negative paranormal experiences, like let's say they're getting hit by something paranormal, or they're getting purposely scared by something paranormal. Well, the idea is that when it comes to paranormal intelligent entities, there are rules, and the rules basically stipulate that they're not to interact with us, they're not to make themselves known to us. Because John is thinking there's rules. There's a lot of rules when it comes with how the paranormal interacts with us. But then when you have those negative entities, what you're having is rule breakers. Basically, it's one of those paranormal things, but they are purposely breaking the rules. Is that what the idea is, John?
Yeah, pretty much. It just makes sense to me. It's simple, because I see shadow people weekly, and it's not a big deal. And I know people who've seen it once or twice, and they're like the most evil thing. They have a bad experience. Some get hurt, and I keep thinking like, why is that? Well, they're breaking the rules,
Yeah.
Because if you notice, if anyone's seen them before, if you look at them, they take off. You're not supposed to see them. That is a rule in place. You know what I'm saying? They desperately want to look at you for some reason, but you're not supposed to see them.
Absolutely.
And like you saw earlier with my camera footage, you saw the one just looked up at my camera, ducked right back down, and that was it. It didn't want to be on camera. It knew it was there.
Yeah.
I think that's why the other one ran across like that. Like it just because I have another video too of the sometime that week I pulled the camera all the way back up in the ceiling from high in the corner, and I caught one trying to run back and forth on the wall, and it would run across, stop in the middle, run back, and then wait and then run back, and like it didn't know where to go. It was so crazy to watch on camera. Like it just didn't want to get caught on film. And then to me that's okay, they don't want to get caught on camera because they're not supposed to. Who said they're not supposed to? Like, I'm trying to look into that kind of stuff now. Like why, and then I was thinking like maybe the bad ones are just like the bad guys.
Yeah. Wait, what was that last part you said? The bad ones are like the what guys?
They're just bad guys. They're bad guys.
Yeah.
They're bad guys.
Yeah.
They're
well, I was going to say.
Yeah.
I was going to say, okay, you brought up the question. There's these rules, okay, but who made the rules? And you were wondering who made the rules. Well, I'm curious. Maybe it's like humans. Like who makes our rules? We do. We're self-governing. Other humans make all the rules. So maybe they make their own rules. You know, they have their own self-governance.
I don't. The one thing I'll say about that is like, there's no rules we can make that they would be forced to follow. I think the rule making's on their side, because we can say you guys can't come over here. And they're like, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Like, you can do whatever you want. So
sprinkle some salt.
Yeah,
It's some iron. It's some iron.
Yeah.
So the rules are being placed from the other side, I believe.
But yeah, that's what I meant. I meant they are being made on the other side, but they're being made by them. They themselves are made.
Yes,
on the other side. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
You know?
I think a lot of the aspects of the intelligent paranormal phenomenon, I think a lot of, I mean, it does seem odd. There's obviously things very different from us, but I think we often overlook what may be true is that there's actually a lot in common with our world, because, you know, perhaps we're not that different. So a lot of things like government, like self-government, perhaps they do that as well. I don't know.
That's a good picture right there, Bobby. The faces on the left here. Yeah, they look like two gray faces. You know? And it's so frustrating because it's what it looks like, but you can't tell. It's not definitive, but it's like I said, it's just enough that I know. I think that's the most important part. Like, you know, it's not enough for everybody to know. You know, some people will see it and get it, but some people won't. It's weird. Like, it's just enough to catch my eye, catch my attention. It's nothing overwhelming, you know.
Right.
Like that money shot that everybody wants, I think might be an impossible thing, you know, like flesh and blood walking around. I think that's never gonna happen. I think that's like a realistic. That's not how it works. It's not how it works. I would have had it by now.
Maybe not until we reach like the singularity or something, till we're on their level.
See, but I just don't think they have to. I think those type of things are maneuvering in this orb space as well. I don't think they have to do that anymore, you know.
Orb space. Write that down. We're using that word.
Orb space.
That's orb space.
And I think that's why some of my images look like aliens or beings, because they're just traveling in that space, you know. And also, I think all this stuff might not even be aware of each other. I think they might just be moving in the same space, but not knowing. I mean, they're going by so fast, right? It's like I'm surrounded by highways, I guess I could say. That's what it feels like. I'm in the middle of a highway in California.
I like that. And the idea has been thrown out there before. And I think it's true too. The idea has been thrown out there before that hashtag Orb space. That the idea has been thrown out there that the paranormal is always around us all the time. Or maybe not the paranormal, but there's always other things around us, like ghosts or spirits or interdimensional beings. And they're always around us. It's just that we don't, most of us, not all of us, but most of us don't have the capability to observe them or to tell that they're there. That's really interesting.
And the way I thought of this theory of how there's stuff going on everywhere that's different is like everywhere I lived, something different happened. There's always something different. It's always something fresh and new. And it took me almost like a few weeks ago to even figure this out, kind of, because I keep thinking about this stuff, trying to figure it out. I'm like why, you know? It's stuff like following me, but now they know it's everywhere because it's following me. Same stuff will keep happening. It's always different everywhere I live. So that means this stuff is just scattered everywhere. And I'm like a ping dropped wherever I move, you know? Like if I move into a new place, I get dropped in that area, I guess somehow. Now sends out an alert, and they're like,
yeah. Now, what's interesting is that, okay, so yeah, basically you're like a magnet for paranormal activity. Now, that idea is out there. The idea is out there that certain people are just constantly having repeated things. Now, I wonder what causes that. Now, I've heard that one way to get for this to happen to you, for you to be a paranormal magnet, is if you die, basically, if you have a near-death experience. I think actually Scotty B might have died on the operating table a few times. Correct me if I'm wrong, Scotty. But I've heard it over and over from people that say, you know, I was born prematurely, my heart stopped, I had an accident, I came back to life. and then I started having paranormal stuff. Now I wonder if what's happening there is once you come in contact with the paranormal, then it follows you around. Like you actually being close to it, that that
I,
gets you.
I think once you operate in that space, you're in that space. All this stuff is connected, you know. So once you're in, you're in.
You're in.
It just depends how far you're in, how far you want to go. Maybe you're in a little bit. You know, at first I thought I had like 1 foot in. Now I feel like I'm like completely in. So there's different variations of it. But once you're, because I think everything like I said, how everything kind of moves like in the same space. So I think since everything's in the same space, it has to be connected that way, since we're all in the same space. But they might not be aware of each other. Like they might be moving around in the same space, but not knowing, hey, a ghost flew by, you know, oh, there goes an alien. Like it might not be like that. We might just be seeing traffic.
Yeah. Oh, that makes
Traffic.
sense.
So besides the orbs, what's the most regular thing that happens to you?
Shadow people would be number one.
Like how often would that be?
It could be once a week. It could be 5 times a day. It could be all night.
Really?
Yeah. Like 4 months.
Are they just
ago,
like standing there, or are they just pop in and out like the video we saw?
No, they just pop their head in and look. That's all they ever do. That's all most of the stuff does. They just come and look. That's what I'm saying. That's why I feel like like a beacon when I'm dropped. They just come and everything just looks. You know, everything I've seen face to face just look at me. And when I see them, they leave. Like they're trying to get a peek. Like they're being sneaky. Like, oh, we're not supposed to interact with this person, but I just want to get a peek at them. That's what it feels like. That's just a feeling. I can't say for sure, but I get looked at all the time.
No, we talked earlier, pulling back the curtain, did an hour over on my show. And I asked you if you had experiences any place besides your house, in like a hotel. You said no, didn't you?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so nothing.
No, but I haven't been in a hotel since I've been doing this stuff. You know, it's kind of different now. But I was oblivious before to a lot of things, or ignorant to it, or would try to just forget it. So,
two-part question. Is there anything you can do that you've noticed that makes it happen? Like more of a mindset, like you come home from a bad day and you're kind of on a lower anger vibration?
I just turn my camera on and walk out the room.
Oh.
I don't want to, it's really that simple. Like I take a $40 camera with IR, I set it up, I'll hit record, I'll walk away, turn the lights off, see what happens within a couple of minutes. I can watch live on my phone. If I see some action, I'll let it record longer. If not, I'll cut the video short and just delete it. So it's super simple. Like the hardest thing is looking through the footage, because you have to look through it to find the stuff. Recording, it's the easy part. Like I can't imagine what kind of stuff I've probably thrown away without even knowing.
Yeah.
I had to have somewhere along the line.
Something in the corner of the frame.
Yeah,
like that was a literal dragon.
Like, so these record to SD cards. So every month I delete 10,000 files off this that I don't even look at because it's just too much. I have to narrow the time of day and when I actually think something happened down, and only look in that specific area, because I can't look at 10,000 files a month. There's no way.
You should pour some of it into this Google Docs here, and me and Wild Crew Trees could check them out just randomly. It's pull a random file and go through it.
Like half of it's me sleeping, and it's just nothing. It's a whole lot of nothing. Like just no movement, and you have to look frame by frame of just nothing. And at one point I was like, you know what? I looked at this enough where the probability of me finding something is very low. I'm just Xing it out of the equation. So at my last apartment, I was able to narrow it down to between 5 a.m. and 7 a.m. And
I was about to ask that what time.
I'd hit that time every morning as much as I could, and that's where all those screenshots that we shared on your show, that's where all the activity occurred in that window, 5 a.m., 7 a.m.
No 333s out there?
Rarely, not enough to me to bother, because I can't look. The more I look at it, the more frames, and it just gets too much, plus you try to work and whatever else you do. Like I can't, like a 20-minute video could take me days.
Yeah,
and
that's 20 times 60.
If you don't
analyzing,
if you don't go frame by frame, you will miss something. Like you can't
20
even
times 60 times 60. Sorry,
you can't even blink. But I find this stuff. It's like buried in there. It's so
yeah.
that's another thing I want to say too. It's like sometimes I wonder if like this stuff is really like when I say it's buried in there. Like sometimes like most people wouldn't have went back and looked at what that light was. They thought it was reflection and case closed. You know, I just missed it for a while. You know, it took me 2 weeks to kind of realize. So it's it's touchy stuff. So it's hard to get. It's hard to get, but it's there to be got.
This isn't a joke. What I'm about to say. It's going to sound like one, and it might sound like a smart ass comment. But what if you could make it happen? Like you being around someplace brings it in. What if you offered that? How am I going to phrase it? What if you offered a service? Wreaking havocs. I make your house haunted.
Ah.
Can you imagine the goth chicks in the market? Like if you could guarantee like a shadow person in somebody's house, you could clean up.
I can guarantee orbs. I think it's safe to say I can guarantee that. But I mean, like those shadow video you saw, there's only 2 of them out of 2 years of recording. There's only 2 videos, and really, it's only like 30 seconds worth. You know, so it's not like I said. They don't want to be on camera, and when you saw they were on camera, they tried to avoid it.
But what if you're selling the experience? So forget about the cameras. It's not about the cameras. You go to the house, you hang out there, and the people forget about the cameras. The people will also see the shadow people because you're drawing them in. So it's more about the experience and the recording. You know what I mean?
That's like a reverse exorcism. John sees reverse exorcisms.
It doesn't work that way because I've been places before where I'll see 4 of them at once, and with a room full of 7 people, and they're all oblivious. And I'm sitting there mind blown that I see 4 of them at once popping out at different corners of the house.
And nobody else sees them?
They're eating chips and laughing. And I'm like, I didn't move because I'm used to it by now. I'm like, thinking to myself, damn, nobody sees this. Nobody sees it. And they poked out, and like you saw, like usual, like you see their head, part of their shoulder, and their arm. They come out like on an angle when they poke out. Always like on an angle. Like they won't like peek out.
I don't know if Bobby, can you play that video and we can just have it on loop? Is that okay, buddy?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's gonna be kind of hard.
They have the ability to like just be like on an angle. You know what I'm saying? Without like leaning over like the whole body. So
I'm gonna put that video on my phone. That was incredible. That's one of the most shocking pieces of evidence I've ever seen.
I think it was all the way to the bottom left corner.
There we go. Yeah.
Bottom left corner. Yeah.
Is that it? That's not it. We're talking about the orb or the shadow people?
The shadow.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
I forgot about the lamp.
So we're gonna look at the right side of the screen for the
I'm gonna put it on loop.
Thank you, sir.
It's right in here. Look in here, people. You will pee your pants.
So look how it pops up off the couch. You can see it comes off on an angle. Like they're never like standing up. They're able to be on whole body on a complete angle when they pop out.
See, the light going out is the most trippiest part. Because what was making the light? Oh, I was. Look, see?
Oh.
See?
Oh.
God, there it is. I am calling the priest.
You see how it came out like that on an angle? Like it didn't like get up, stand up like that. It just came out.
An old priest and a young priest. Old priest and a young priest.
Wild Trees. Do you remember when we did the show on Black Lotus with Heidi?
Yeah.
About shadow people were playing this video.
Yes.
She's like, "Oh my god, I would move out of there immediately."
It's on a loop, Mindy. It's still going.
Well, isn't this your thing? You know.
I remember that. That was a good episode. That was funny. Yeah, she was shook. She was shook when she saw that, and yeah.
Yeah, when you shake the experts, you know.
No, I want to go back to this idea that you're saying. I'm trying to get, one side, trying to get some truth out of all this, like some knowledge, some wisdom, some new information. So yeah, okay, and you've already talked about this, but the idea is that they're always peeking at you. They're always looking at you. So let's focus it on that behavior. And then the other thing you said is, I think you had a hypothesis. You said, I'm just drawing them in. I'm a curiosity. I don't think you said it exactly, but when you go somewhere, you're like a curiosity. You're giving something off that attracts everybody, and everybody's just coming to see. Is that what you said? Like they're just peeking at you?
Yes.
Okay.
Besides like the abduction stuff, which I think it's part of it, but it's separate. But like while that's going on, all this goes, like it kind of like comes with it, I guess. But
so something's going on. So so earlier. Oh, let me go back. Let me just say, Scotty B did respond. So Scotty B, I believe, said he died 3 times on the operating table.
Oh wow! Scotty, did you have near-death experiences?
Yeah, Scotty, tell us some more about this, please, sir.
Yeah, I have a good friend coming on my channel who had a near-death experience, and it's part of everything else.
I think he did say. He said this is what he. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, so let's say my theory is this stuff is going on everywhere. It's going on everywhere. Mm-hmm. Certain people can interact with it. Some can't. Some more than others. I mean, there's so many different levels. I can't even imagine. Like, I've only been doing this for a couple of years. I know people have been doing this for like 20 years, and they're like way deeper than me, deeper than I would probably want to go. So it's out there. And yeah, I think like whenever you go to an area, your energy, somehow they can feel your energy or something like that. They can sense you're there, and then they come and they want to check you out. At least in my experience. But at the same time, there's some sneaky stuff going on. Like I've seen some things like sneak around, like creeping, like physically creeping, like sneaky, like you see in a cartoon.
Right. Tiptoeing.
Creeping. Yes, yes. And they don't want to be seen either. But why are they creeping like that? Like I said before, there's like this whole thing. I think like there's just like a rule in place. Like I have yet 2 times I think something was directly in my face, and I was like an alien and a ghost. But one was at one place and one was at another place. I've only seen a ghost at one place. I've never seen one anywhere else. And I always think like, why I don't see him all the time if I saw her? I mean, full figure as clear as I see you, just white and like glowing, and like the slightest, it's like slightly transparent, like slightly, but look like just a all white person glowing in front of me,
Right.
And I only saw something like that at one place, but then I go somewhere else, I'm not seeing stuff like that. I haven't seen it since, and that was 2010. What I found out though is that what I saw was my friend's aunt who hung herself in that house. She showed me the picture after I explained to him what I saw, and he brought down a picture of his aunt. He's like, "Yo, is this who you seen?" And I was like, "Dude, that feeling when I saw the picture, I was like, yeah." He's like, "This is my aunt. She hung herself upstairs." And that wasn't the last time I slept over, but that was like I didn't sleep over for a while, because you had one of those big finished basements. You had like the Nintendo 64 down there and a bunch of couches, and that was a hangout spot. So I just fell asleep on the couch, and it woke me up. I was like laying on my side. It woke me up. I looked at it while I was laying on my side. It was just standing there. I sat up and they rubbed my eyes, and like it was just there. So
what was the expression on the face?
Oh, I'm sorry. Blank. They're always blank.
Always blank.
As blank as you can is the least amount of emotion as you can possibly think of. Like if there's an emotion meter, just take it all the way down to 0.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, And like when I seen the ghost in the grays, they had the same facial expression. Like there was nothing going on there. Like I'm talking
Nothing.
zero, nothing. Not even a reaction to seeing me. It was just not a flinch, eerie, no movement either. It's like stone cold still, emotionless, just looking at me with that face of, and that's what everything does. They just look at me. It's so crazy. I'm curious to what happens if I move again. So I will be moving again soon. And to be honest, I moved from this place because I thought this place was like haunted.
Yeah.
I'm wrong. This happens everywhere. Okay,
Right.
I'm wrong about that. And that's why I started thinking it's everywhere, because it's happening here is just as frequent, but everything is different. And that's how I came up with this idea, And
Interesting.
when I move again, it's only going to further add more evidence to this idea hypothesis,
Yeah.
That's really interesting. To move again. I want you to move. I want you to move again.
I'm going to. I have no choice. Yeah. It's and like when I came here, I didn't record for like 4 months. I needed a break, but you can't stop if you start. Like it's hard just to quit, because something's going on there, and you're like, well, what's going on? I got to set up, and I eventually did, and I've been capturing different stuff and seeing different stuff. Like I see this thing running around in the hallway. It's like 3.5 feet tall. It has like a cloak on with a hood that's like bright white, like emits a light. And it has the face of Thanos that's purple, and it runs through the hallway, through the wall, and then it runs back out through the wall to the other wall. Then it turns around and goes back the other way, as it's like hunched over, creeping. I seen it. I seen it in the corner of my eye, and I looked at it. This is my door. I was sitting like this way, and my door was open. I just looked over, so I saw a flash of light. I was like, "What the hell was that?" And then I kept looking, and I saw it run the other way. Dude, purple face, looked like a little person Thanos with a glowing white cloak on. So it's the best way to describe it. And like, if anyone else told me that, I probably won't even believe them. I have to be honest with you. For some reason, that's how I am, because I think that's a crazy thing to say, but I've seen it,
Everybody similar to your experiences has one of those kind of off the wall beings they see. Just like what was his name? Jeremy Sanborn that saw the gremlin in his house.
Yep.
Yeah, that was kind of the same thing.
This happened not even a month ago. I want to say 3 weeks or less. The first time I've seen it, the first time it's ever happened. It's something. I actually drew a good picture because I was just like, when this stuff happens, it just gets burned in my brain. It's in there. It's like a hard drive. It ain't that information.
Do you have the picture?
Lost.
Do you have the? Can you show us the picture?
I'll put it in the thing real quick for Bobby in the folder.
Hell yeah!
Is it in there?
Can I ask you some question? I think he's about to put it in there.
Oh.
Yeah.
So was it giving off any light? Like what was it made of? Did it look 3-dimensional?
It was 100% 3-dimensional. It looked like it was built like one of the dwarves from Lord of the Rings, right? So that was like the build. It had a cloak on that was emitting bright white light.
A cloak?
Okay.
Yes, with the hood up. No, like a cloak, like a monk would wear, I guess, with the hood, and it went all the way down to the floor.
Mm-hmm.
And it was extra long and like almost too big. That's how it looked. And it had a purple face, looked like Thanos, and it ran right through my hallway. I seen it. I was looking directly at it.
Jeez, that's intense.
So I've been trying to catch it. So I've been pointing cameras in that direction, and so far, absolutely nothing.
Let me real fast catch up with some comments, and then we'll continue the conversation. Sure. But yeah, Scotty said so he clinically died 3 times during a 16-hour surgery. And he said while he was out, he did have a near-death experience. he could tell the color of the drill that was being used on him was yellow, and the chisel was green. So he was observing things.
Wow.
And then, yeah. And then the funny thing was that he said his doctor said that happened to his other patients. And then Bobby was like, why do this guy's patients keep dying on the table? Maybe you get a new doctor, maybe.
I said he got the doctor from The Simpsons.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody.
So Melinda or Mindy, she asks, what are shadow figures exactly? What's the main thoughts? Now, okay, guys, I'm going to make a definition of shadow people, and let's see what you guys, if you agree.
That's a good question. Bobby,
well, let me just do
Messenger.
Messenger. Whoa.
This is a broad explanation of what a shadow person is. I would say a shadow person is usually, but not always. Whoa, there we go. Crazy. That's a good drawing too. Dang.
That's what I see. That's how it was running.
Dude,
Crouch
that's some
down, creepy style.
That's some folklore fairy, Irish stuff right there, dude. That's crazy.
Dude, but I seen it kept going back and forth because originally it would look like a woman in the hallway, bright white. That's what caught my eye. And I was like, what was that? Like tall, like a woman. But that just disappeared. And then this went down the hall through the wall. And then I saw it come back. And that's when I was looking out my door, that's directly the angle and how I seen it. Right as it ran by my door. That's what I saw, looking directly at it. And like, yeah, but like, it looked like a potato sack type cloak, like tattered a little bit. Like, dude, it looked really, like, physically real. Like, it wasn't like a orb thing flying down. There was like something physically ran through my hallway.
And it was giving off light. You said white light. The cloak was.
The cloak was bright. That's what caught my eye because my door was open. The hallway lights are off. It's dark. You know. That's a good way to catch stuff. Anything bright, make sure the lights are off. But you want to catch a shadow person, make sure all lights are on, because sometimes they can black out the light of a doorway and it'll catch your eye. That was a trick I used to use. I just keep all lights on, and like I would see them come poke out my hallway. They'll block the light from the kitchen, and that's how I know they're there. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
interesting. Okay, so you're saying that the early detection system for shadow people is have all the lights on because it's more likely that you'll spot them when they step in front of a light and block it. So you'll see lights stop people.
Yes. Yep.
Wow, that's a good tip, dude. That's good. I'm gonna remember that one. Okay, Melinda, I was gonna say, what is the shadow person?
Okay, also real quick though, try not to look at it is the best thing you can do. Like, don't even turn your head, because if you don't turn your head, they won't leave. So if you can remain calm and look straight ahead the whole time and use your peripherals, it will stay there. But you only can fight that stuff for so long. But once you do turn your head, they'll leave. But if you ever think you see one in the corner of your eye, you're not sure, don't even acknowledge it. Just look straight ahead like you don't see it, but concentrate on the corner of your eye and you'll get a good look at it. You know, because some people say your peripherals ain't not the best, part of your vision, but I see stuff clear on mine. Like I said, there's a rule in place now. You're not supposed to see them. That's why you only see them in the corner of your eye or real quick. So, but go ahead.
I got to say, I have really good peripheral vision because I remember I went to the eye doctor and they tested me specifically for my peripheral vision. I think I got 100%. Like, I have very good, and people do have peripheral vision. You can observe things going on there.
Yeah. And like the thing that people say is, oh, you only see things in the corner of your eye. Because these things aren't supposed to be seen. They're not supposed to be sitting in front of you having a conversation. They're supposed to be in the background. They push the boundaries of them trying to make contact without you seeing them, because there's somehow something in place. I think there's a lot of evidence that proves that, in my opinion, or makes at least a decent theory that someone made a rule at some point. And who knows how old that rule was? Maybe all those stories back in the day about crazy stuff is actually true. Like demons and running around and angels, whatever. Maybe that's how it was. Maybe then there was a rule in place and all that stuff just stopped.
Yeah,
I think that kind of makes sense.
I like that. Let me go back. I still haven't defined a shadow person, so let me define a shadow person, and then And let me answer this question. Okay. The question is, do shadow people do anything other than be a shadow? Let me define a shadow person, and then I'll get to it. Well, first of all, I don't think that anybody knows what a shadow person is. We have some ideas right now, but it can be classified, I think. Shadow people are usually thought to look humanoid, like a human, but they don't have to be the size of a human. They could be very tiny, like small, or they could be, incredibly large. Okay, so a shadow person is generally human-like, thought to move around like a human. But yeah, there's no features. You cannot tell any features on them, no facial features, nothing. They're just kind of black. That's another thing about them. And then the other thing is, the most benign version, the most chill version of a shadow person is you just see them out the corner of your eye and they block out the light. But I've heard stories, intense stories of somebody. There was this guy, I forgot what his name is, but he was on Black Lotus. I need to have him on this show, but he's kind of known for shadow people. And he said that when he was a boy, there was a shadow boy in his room, and the shadow boy went up to him while he was laying down. So this guy, Mike, I think was his name, was lying on a bed, and the shadow person went up to him, and it looked like a child, and just hugged him, and that's all. And I heard this other guy named Thinker Thunker, who's got a YouTube channel. So Thinker Thunker said that one time he was in the bed, and then he woke up, his wife was next to him at night in the bed. He saw a man standing in front of him, a shadow person man, and the man had a strange hat on. And then this man picked up Thinker Thunker's foot by the toe. He grabbed his toe and picked up his foot. And then Thinker Thunker said he reared back and he kicked this guy as hard as he could in the chest. He just kicked him right in the chest, and the guy fell back but disappeared. So shadow people, they could probably go more intense, but they can't physically touch you. And that's what I would say the definition of a shadow person is. It's very broad. But yeah, that's what they could do. Other than to be a shadow, they can't physically touch you.
It's awful. Chest kick all day.
Chest kicking them.
It's like when you wake up from a dream, you think somebody's in your room, you're just kicking your feet.
I had a little theory about those too.
All right.
So I always think a lot about what they are too. 'Cause they can almost be anything because it's a shadow. There's so many possibilities. But I always wondered if they were like from somewhere else, but kind of like only halfway in here. I would say, like maybe they got 1 foot in because they're not able to be fully here in a way, So I've seen the shadow person. The reason I say is because I've seen a shadow person one time that looked 100% human. Whoa. Like if you take a person who had like longer hair, like say a collared shirt tucked in, pants and boots, and you outlined his shadow of details on the wall of his hair, his pants, like, what I'm saying? Like to pick up the details of his clothing, that's what it looked like. And it was jet black solid. And it had his arms over my bed.
Wow. Yeah.
I seen it. It looked at me. It freaked out. It jumped on the wall, turned into a shadow, and ran down the wall and took off.
Yeah.
But it looked like 100% like a person. So that makes me wonder, like, is that like one of these shadow beings completely in? I mean, it was solid. Like I saw the hairstyle. That's how detailed it was. It was all jet black.
Yeah.
But not like jet black. It was like jet black, like solid. Like I didn't see any other details inside of it, just the outline. The rest was like completely jet black. And it looked at me, it was startled, jumped onto the wall, became a shadow, and like kind of took off. So I wonder if that is a shadow person that's like all the way in.
Yeah, right. All the way in.
Because I don't know if it's an interesting theory, but some people say the shadow people could be like government type people.
Yeah.
Who are like kind of halfway in.
I was going to say that.
Considering some have jackets on and hats, look like the detectives would wear. I guess that's the style to best describe it. I've seen it myself, so I mean, I know, but that's like the one a lot of people see. So who knows if there's like a government agency that's following people who have experiences who are like actually in the shadows. I know that sounds crazy, and it's but it's like with this stuff, anything is possible. But
I came up with the idea that some shadow people, not all, because I think all these paranormal things, I think they have multiple explanations. It's not just one. Like UFOs have multiple explanations, abductions, multiple things, not just one thing. So I came up with the idea just kind of randomly, no real evidence, but I was like, I think some shadow people, not all of them, I think some of them are just humans, or they're like humans, and they're using technology to commit crimes. They're basically breaking into people's houses, and like you said, it's technology that allows them to do that, to turn into shadow people, to sneak around. It could be that's reverse engineered. If it is the military, some of them doing it, they could have reverse engineered it. They could have cracked the code. They could have traded with an alien for that technology. But we always talk about, Bobby and me, we talk about this idea that there's certain technologies that we're pretty sure are, you could buy them in an intergalactic Home Depot. You can just go to the store and buy them, like Best Buy, intergalactic Best Buy. So portal technology is probably very easily available outside of Earth and other dimensions. Probably shadow people technology, camouflage technology, and grays. You could probably buy grays by the dozen. Little programmable living tissue robots.
The claw.
That's what they look like, pretty much.
Yeah.
I'll buy a hoverboard first, and then after that, it's whatever. I feel like someone owes me a hoverboard from Back to the Future. I feel like I'm owed that at some point in my life.
It's like there's like 3 different kinds of portals too.
Yeah. Okay.
You always hear, they got the square one. You got the one that's like a sideways trampoline.
Yeah, that one. Yep.
And the smaller one that just pops out. It's like that hole they were throwing around on Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's good.
They're always a circle. They're always a square.
Yeah. And the square thing gave it away to me. I was like, because Randy, one of our Bigfoot witnesses, said he saw a square doorway portal. He said it looked like the Northern Lights inside it, and he saw orbs come out of it. But he believes the orbs were actually Bigfoot because he could hear them walking. So even though they appeared as an orb, he could hear the steps, the heavy footsteps of these Bigfoot. Crazy story.
Who else said the Northern Lights thing? We had another. Was it Long Island Bigfoot talked about the Northern Lights?
Yeah, he did. He did say that. Yep.
I didn't say it whenever he said it. But I was like, oh shit, he said the same thing.
That guy's awesome.
He said the thing. I was freaking out.
I just told him a Bigfoot theory I thought of. I mean, I can't probably for thinking about it. I'm sure someone else has. But...
Oh wait, John, I was going to tell you. You actually have hypotheses, not theories.
Oh, face.
Yes.
You said science hypothesis. Face. You did say hypothesis earlier, so you did say it right. But then you switched back to theory.
I'd be correcting motherfuckers at work too. No, that's a hypothesis, Karen.
My bad.
It's all good, brother. It's all good.
Anyway, I was talking with Long Island Bigfoot. I was trying to think like, where the hell does Bigfoot come from?
Yeah.
So I believe they're dimensional. I don't think they're completely a physical animal who lives 24/7 in the woods. I think that impossible because there's thousands of Bigfoot groups out there combing this country for them,
Sure.
So I think they're dimensional. And then I was thinking, like, because he was saying a lot of people have this connection with them. And I was like, what if they come from another dimension? What if they come from a dimension where humans never had their DNA altered at all? If you think that's a theory, you know what I'm saying?
That's awesome, dude.
So if you think our DNA was altered in the past, what if in that dimension it never was? And then you have Bigfoot. So if he's hopping over from one dimension to another, he's coming from, that Earth to this Earth. Maybe where he's at, that's what it is over there.
They're just what we are if we hadn't done that.
Yeah,
like naturally. You know what I'm saying? So they come over here for a little bit because they're parallel dimension and mess around or whatever. Maybe the nature over here is better or something. Who knows? Right. And then they just leave.
That's wild, dude. I love that idea. That's wild.
It kind of makes sense, It
really does.
I just try to brainstorm, like I said, like Long Island Bigfoot has a ton of evidence, like there's evidence out there to figure this stuff out,
Did you see his latest one with the green orb?
Yeah, it's crazy. Like that's another thing.
Let me find that.
I've never had that experience. That's someone else to have a different orb experience, a sphere, like a ball.
Yeah, and what's the thing everybody always says about Bigfoot is they look human. They look too human to shoot.
Right, exactly.
And for some reason, I think that makes sense. I don't even know how to explain dimensions, but it makes sense to me. Like that's the word I'm going to use for what I think dimensions. But
No, I love that idea, and it kind of makes me think about something I thought about earlier: how Bigfoot and gray aliens or aliens in general, they're parallels to each other. It just
That,
because
that's
Go ahead.
because they move in the same space. I think that's generally just pretty much what it is. Like,
Mhm.
I don't even know if one knows the other one's there. But you know what I'm saying? But they're playing in the same park,
Right,
I guess.
it's the
You
same
know,
orb
yeah, like
space, I think.
there might be somebody on the swings, but there's somebody else on the slides. Like everybody's just playing,
Yeah,
like you know what I mean, like something like that.
yeah, absolutely. No, that makes sense. And then, yeah, to me, like the aliens or the grays, they represent high technology, and then the Bigfoot represents low technology. I mean, I know they use technology, but the idea is they live in the woods. They're just natural, so it's like very natural and then very high technological. It's kind of they operate in the same space, the gray aliens and the Bigfoot, but they're at like opposite ends
Yeah,
technologically wise.
yeah, yeah. It's the thing. Like that's why mo- I think most people that have one experience probably had more than one, like something different.
Mm,
But I think a lot of times this stuff's easy to dismiss or look over. I did it
yeah.
for years. I wake up with holes in my body and just dismiss it. Like how you just dismiss that, but I used to do it. Oh, this video is good. Like this is like a good example of just like a different orb phenomenon. I I, I wonder if that's like the the most basic form of energy, like a sphere, like a ball, like that. Because all these things have to have energy and they're moving around and intelligent. It's like compacted energy.
And yeah, let me give full credit to Long Island Bigfoot on YouTube. This is his channel. I'll email him, I'll message him, make sure it's okay to have this on, but I think
Yeah.
it is. But
Oh, of
yeah,
course,
please
he's cool with
subscribe.
that, man.
Yeah, he won't
Yeah,
care.
yeah.
I, I, pretty soon I plan on going on one of his little excursions with him.
I'd like to
When
too. Everybody lives so damn far away. Why don't y'all
I
see some
live,
shit in the south?
yeah,
We shot it all
honestly,
though. It's a problem.
I've been talking about relocating towards the Midwest area for a while. Hopefully next spring is when I'm going to do that. I feel like that's a good place for activity. The Texas, that side of the
Yeah,
country, like stuff in the sky. Like I feel like that's a good spot to be for this kind of stuff.
yeah, definitely.
That's
And
insane though. Like, what is that?
I'm not happy about Pennsylvania politics either.
Well, you got
Yeah, yeah.
old hoodie
but,
guy. He's a legend in his own right.
but like that's great evidence, and like, but it's not enough to be like that's definitely what that is. Like they never give you enough. That's what's
Right.
so frustrating about this, man. It's always like they always make it so it's a little iffy.
So you have pretty much described what one of my theories is, that haunting isn't necessarily subject to some place that a Victorian child drowned, or
Mm,
somebody lost a lover, uh, ran into the ocean and died, or you know what I'm saying. It's not just a traumatic, very specific event. It's just in and out. They're everywhere. What if you see them everywhere? Is what you were saying, just about. But what if you went to some place like Waverly Hills? Would that just go nuts for you?
mm.
Like,
It's hard to say. I don't know. I would have to assume so.
that would be
I
insane
think for
because
sure I would be able to record something.
if you just
Um,
saw
so
garden variety stuff everywhere you went, imagine if you went somewhere that was like legit haunted that everybody could see.
here's another theory, real quick.
All right.
And this isn't to bash any type of ghost hunters or anything, but I think you find a problem with some of these ghost hunter shows trying to have or trying to come up with evidence is that they're not experiencers doing the ghost hunters. They're just
Right.
regular people with cameras, and this is not how it works. You know, in my opinion, I could be wrong, but I think that's just how this stuff works. Like I say, you're not gonna just all of a sudden just be able to record stuff because you go somewhere. If you have someone with you who's in any way, shape, or form involved in anything like this, I think it would help, right? So I
Yeah.
always wonder if that's why some of these shows are hard to have evidence. You're not going to get evidence that I don't get shit every time I record. It just doesn't work that way. Like it's not like it. It's not how it works. So you're not gonna go on a haunting whatever investigation and always get evidence. So I think some investigators have that problem because the phenomena is there, like it's there, but you can walk through a house and nothing happens. Somebody else can walk through a house and it could be a nightmare for them. It's just.
Wow. Yeah, that's true, dude. Yeah. That's a newer idea, but hopefully people will start catching on to it and putting it into practice because I think it is true.
Because I believe in Skinwalker Ranch, but I also believe when I watch that show, there's minimal evidence coming out of there with all the high-tech equipment. Like, it's not about the expensive equipment. I'm like, let me go there with my little $40 camera.
Right.
Like, if I was going to put money on someone getting something, I'd bet on myself. It's just how it works. It's just, I'm not like trying to talk bad to anybody who investigates, but I just feel like it's how it works, because I know people like they take pictures and there's thousands of orbs in the sky, like right all around them, like a swarm, but the people next to them are taking pictures and it's just a regular picture.
Right.
It's just,
Interesting. Let me catch up on some good comments real fast, John, if you want to hold on to that thought.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Beth says it makes sense to why they seem to act caught when they're seen. As far as the shadow people, they do act like they're suspicious, like they're doing something. So
yeah, oops, oops, they sell me. Gotta get out of here. Not supposed to be doing this. Let me get out of here real quick.
So that could indicate that they're breaking some kind of rule. They're humans breaking the law. Something's going on. They're doing something.
That's why they always disappear when you look back.
Yeah, they're like, oh no, they see me. I gotta get out. They go so fast. Why go so fast? You didn't see them because they're not supposed to.
Beth, Double Kick Chick, also says you got to watch Sassy the Sasquatch. It explains everything in animation and a lot of swearing. Okay, thank you for that recommendation.
I'm into that. All my favorite things.
Scotty B talks about, he says, I have been following Long Island Bigfoot since he started. I have found other orbs in his videos. I mod for Mike. Mike likes sharing his info. All right.
Well, yeah, Mike is salt of the damn earth. Like, I would go to bat. I'd fight somebody for him right now.
Nice.
Yeah, he'll be coming on my channel soon as well. He's another guy that has like an endless amount of evidence. Like those people I find so fascinating because the word on the street is there's no evidence of anything out there.
So I thought it was amazing that we were talking with Mike from LIB, and he had that TBI over in the war. Then all of a sudden it opened up for him, like the veil was lifted.
Okay, yeah, it's true.
I don't know if he lets that business getting out, but I don't think it'll. He said it on my show, so he knows that at least like 7 or 8 people did see it already.
Right.
Like
but that's a huge thing as far as I'm concerned.
It happens sometimes. It's like there's a lot of different things that can happen to trigger this, but you get triggered and you get into the game almost, like you're in the game.
It's almost like you got to pay like the blood in fee, like joining the Crips.
It could be a concussion, it could be a traumatic experience, it could be anything, but that so you get a ticket into the game, then you're in it, and then it's just then at that point different people are in there, at different depths. I would say some is light and some is crazy, but once you're in it, everything else is you're more likely to interact with. I kind of will say that. I think that for sure. Like I'm pretty positive about that. That's how it works.
Yeah, that's pretty wild, man.
I'm gonna give myself a head injury.
I think there's some good information there. Yeah. So my flock Sarah is here. My flock is everywhere. She says, please sub to Bobby.
Yes.
Please sub to Bobby. Yeah, Bobby Dizzle.
Sub to Bobby. I recommend that.
So some things that we've been thinking about is real fast. Scotty says, I think his brain injury has a lot to do with it. Yeah.
That's like you hear a lot of people. Well, I know a couple people the near-death experience. Like once they have that, that's their way into this world, and they start experiencing other stuff. Like that's how I think everything's. That's why I think it's all connected. Because once you're in, you're in. You got your stamp, your official. you're locked in, you know. But then everybody has their different experiences at that point, which is crazy, you know.
It makes you wonder what would cause the thing. I've heard a lot of people who were bad on substances also kind of have a veil lifted for them, and everybody's like, "Well, it's because he's on crystal meth." Well, he's off meth now, so why is he still seeing that stuff?
Interesting. Yeah, that's a good observation.
So it doesn't matter what position you're in, you know, personally in life. This stuff don't care. So, you know, you can be any type of person in any type of position you can imagine. It doesn't matter to this stuff. You know what I'm saying? So you can, if someone on drugs, like, you know, they're on drugs, they're in this position. You know, they don't pick or choose. There's no anything specific that I know of.
Yeah, so that's something to keep in mind then. Yeah, well, I was trying to summarize some of the things we discovered is that, yeah, so something has to happen. Well, first of all, if you're going to do a paranormal investigation, it doesn't matter what kind of equipment you have. You really should have someone who's an experiencer like John. That's kind of the missing piece. That'll help you with your research or your experiences if you want to have an experiences. And I've heard that before, but I think we should re-say it. And then the other thing is that, you know, some kind of event has to happen, either a traumatic event, like a medical event, like a near-death experience, a brain injury, maybe being on drugs, some experience has happened. What about abduction? Do you think, like John, I was thinking about you. Like, do you think that time you were abducted when you were a child, do you think that started everything, or do you think it had already started by that time?
I'm pretty sure it already started by then.
Okay.
No, see, the abduction. My theory on the abduction thing is, I just think that's like a well-oiled machine, a process that just goes on. I think that's just. I think it just is what it is. It's what they do. It's what they always have done. It's what's supposed to be done. It's how it's supposed to be. You know, and we That's because it just by the way it's done, so nonchalant. You know, it's something I don't think you're supposed to know about. But I think it might happen to more people than most people would like to think. You know.
Yeah.
I think but I think the people they're messing with definitely go into this category of experiencing other stuff, you know.
Yes, they do.
For
yeah.
Sure. That way they're connected, but I think they're like two separate things going on in the same space. Like if you're dealing with the abduction thing, the other thing just comes along with it, has nothing to do with it, but it's just you gotta deal with that as well. Like, you know what I mean? It's just part of it. Even though it's not supposed to be, you enter in that space if you want to or not, pretty much. Like it's not an option. That's I think from what I've been through and what I've recorded, that's the best way I can put it. You know, how everything kind of feels like the Greys just do their thing. It's like a program. They're just doing their job. They're not doing nothing wrong, you know.
I compared it to tagging a panda.
No, just like an assembly line process. Like they're just doing what they're supposed to do. They're probably doing what they've always done. This is how it's always been. But like I said, there's like a thing where rules. We're not supposed to know they do that. You
know. That's interesting, John. I was just going to comment because that sounds like an evolution in you. Because I believe you were very fearful about the experience, and you weren't very fearful when you were describing it now. Have you changed your emotionally, your ideas about the abduction experience that happened to you?
Yeah, I have. The beings I seen that looked in my window, you know, is a terrifying experience. But I didn't get a terrifying feeling from them. Almost got the opposite. But like it was just the whole experience in general. Like, how could you not freak out? You know, I wish I didn't because I was able to move around. Like it wasn't like I was frozen. Like I could have did whatever I wanted to. I felt like, but I was just in total shock. I just like froze. You know.
So, I imagine so.
But looking back, it's like I think they were there for a positive reason. But at the same time, there was two other ones outside my bedroom door, which I feel like they're different. Like I think they're two different things.
Ah, right.
I think like the ones outside the window were like watching to see what the ones that were coming in the room to do. Almost like it's like almost like make sure they're not going to break the law while they're in there. Like they're there to do what they said they were going to do, and the ones outside were concerned. That's where my mind is now. Just because of the rest of the experiences I had, because of the stuff I recorded. I can say that's how I look at that situation now. I mean, if it happened again, I'd be just as terrified. Like, I can't control my reaction. You know, I'm sure most people would freak out as well. Even though I deal with all this stuff all the time, you know, it's still crazy. But yeah. So I think they do their thing with most people, and you know, once they do their thing with you, you're kind of in that paranormal world, and you're able to interact with the rest. And I think, you know, that's why they gravitate towards me when I go into a certain space, because maybe there's nobody in that space. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I get dropped in and say, "Oh, we see one," you know.
Yeah, it's rare. It's rare.
And then they'd be like, then they're real sneaky about it. Like I said, I'm not supposed to see. I'm not supposed to know. So,
real fast before we continue, I just want to check in. We're approaching the 2-hour mark. I want to see if you guys are okay still talking. Bobby, if you need to leave, it's no problem, buddy. And Rican, if you need to leave as well, but I can still talk, Rican.
I'll go all night, man. We can talk about this all night. This is fun stuff. You know, try to figure stuff out. You know, there's, like I said, there's data out there to break down. But yeah, it's all, like I said, all stuff's connected, and I always try to figure out, why am I always seeing something different? Like, why is it always something different? Like, how, like, because you think, let's say you're someone who sees fairies, you think you would see fairies all the time because you can see them. It's just not the case. You know, I can never wrap my brain around why. Like, how do I see a full figure ghost once and never again? You know, you think you would see it again. And that's when I started thinking that there's different stuff at different places, because she took her life at that house. Maybe that's why I saw her at that house. Maybe the other places I lived at, maybe nobody took their lives there. There was no ghost to reach out. You know what I'm saying? I've been still trying to think about stuff like that and trying to put stuff together.
So maybe like my Waverly Hills theory.
Go ahead, Bobby.
Like if shit really, like my Waverly Hills theory, like if shit really went down where you were, like you would see some crazy stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah.
I was gonna say, John, that let me see. Oh man, did I lose my thought? Let's see.
Sorry.
Okay? No, it's okay. It always comes back to me. Well, I knew something else I was gonna say. So it's almost like, John. I'm trying to like think now. It's almost not like you're not a. Well, in some aspects, you are a paranormal magnet. You do attract paranormal things wherever you go. But I'm also noticing that you're also a paranormal magnifier. So, you know, the paranormal stuff is already happening. Like your aunt, you know, she was there, or the aunt you saw was there, and it's because she killed herself. So you weren't attracting her to you. You were magnifying her because other people were seeing her. So I think it's a combination of the attractive effect and the magnet. And then the other thing is, like, okay, when the shadow people come to peek at you, like, what are they thinking? Are they just rubbernecking? Are they just curious? You know, is it like when you see a wreck? I'm not saying you're a wreck, but you know, when you see a wreck on the highway and you just want to get a closer look because you're curious. Yeah. What do you think about that?
This is the shadow person part. I think my theory is, like, they're not supposed to get that close. You know what I'm saying? They're not supposed to get that close, but the ones are taking a risk to look at me. It's what it feels like, just to look. And when I catch them, they take off. So to me, I tell them they're not supposed to be looking. So for some reason, my presence intrigues them enough for them to bend that rule just to get a look at me. If that makes sense.
So
That's
it's curiosity.
how I feel. Yes.
Like, you think it's curiosity? Curiosity is okay.
There's something about me that it's worth them almost getting caught to come see.
Of course, they're breaking the rules. Yeah, so the reward, there's some reward there that's higher than the potential consequence of breaking the rule. So I wonder, the curiosity is...
Okay. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
Okay, I was gonna say, I wonder, is the curiosity like part of, is the curiosity being caused by a benefit? Like if I see, okay, let's say a cat sees a bird, right, and they stare at the bird. They're curious by the bird, but under curiosity, there's a reward because they would love to kill and eat the bird. So the curiosity is there; it's drawing you in. But do you think there's some kind of reward to getting close to you? There's something they could get from you.
I, obviously I can't say for sure, but my gut feeling is that
Mhm.
I'm somebody that they have to get a look at for whatever reason. Like
Mhm.
I don't want to say I'm important. Like I don't want to make it look like that, but like they can't pass up not catching a look at me, and it's worth them
Yeah.
breaking the rule just to get a look at me. That's what it feels
Okay.
like. At least the feeling when I see them and like the interaction, that's how it feels like. And everything else, like my friend's aunt, she's looked at me. He
Yeah.
stood there and looked at me. Like maybe nobody else in the house could see her. Maybe she knew I could see her. Well, whatever energy, whatever is something that's attracting things, and some of these things just want to look like wow, like oh shit, there he is, like that kind of feeling. Like it's weird, man. You know,
Gotcha.
Have you ever had a
yeah.
past life regression, past life reading?
No, that's something I tried to work on. I try to contact a few people. The ones I try to contact do not do it no more. Some are way too expensive, and most people want to do it online, and I'm not really with that. I need to be there in person with the, you know, of course I gotta have cameras set up. I got everything recorded and documented, and you know. But people
And
offer to do it online, but I'm not gonna pay $300 to have a Zoom call with somebody. Like it's, it's. I think what I got going on is a little more important than that. I need to be,
yeah,
Yeah.
But like they charge like $300 a session, and sometimes they say it can take like 10, 15 sessions. Uh,
Well,
so I don't know. So I'm open to it. I haven't found the right opportunity to have it done. Let's put it that way.
my train of thought was like, what if you're some VIP, like from the back in the day, like you always came back as somebody
right.
who was like a VIP, but this time you're just little old Rican.
If I could
Yeah,
add to
Look at
that, I was just thinking about that, John. If I could add real fast, I was gonna say, because I was thinking the same thing. I was gonna say, what does that remind me of? Like with humans, that you just got to look at something, and I was like, well, it kind of sounds like a celebrity. Like if you see a celebrity,
yeah.
that's what I was
first
thinking. And I
place
was
in my
like, you
mind,
want
but
to look at them.
That's what I kind of meant. I didn't want to say it like that. That's kind of what I was leaning towards. But yeah,
they
it's
kind of like look at King George come back as Puerto Rican.
it's happened my whole life. It's not like I'm not like talking about one or two times. I'm like the shadow people. We're talking hundreds, easy. Like sometimes, like here, I'll like have my door open. I'll be laying in bed. I'll see 4 or 5 in the hallway, and because I can see the eyes, and the eyes are at different heights. It's like a black kind of blob, like they're all kind of together a little bit. But you can tell they're different
Hmm.
heights by where the eyes are. And then one at a time, I'll see one pop his head out, and then I'll look and I'll dip back, and then I'll see another one pop his head out, but it's a little lower. And then while they're doing that, there's still 2 or 3 shuffling in the background, and I'm watching this happen in my hallway, man. And I'm thinking what, what is the why? Like, you know what I'm saying? Why? Like they like I'm saying they're like breaking the rules. Like they just like it's like Michael Jackson was sitting in here like his fans are outside. Like they just want to get a quick look and like,
Yeah.
but they can't. But they
Damn.
can't be caught. But they can't be caught doing it. So to me, it's like I said with this thing, like is they're bending the rule to see how far they can go to take a look without getting caught. And I call them slipping up twice on camera, which was my other theory is things either want to get recorded on purpose or they get caught messing up. And you can tell the shadow person video, they didn't want to be on camera. They got caught messing up. They didn't want to be seen. It popped out to see the camera and then it just popped back down. if it wasn't worried about the camera, I would have moved around a little bit more. But once it seen me, it ducked right back down. It was probably like, oh crap, his camera's on. you know.
Wow.
So that's
is crazy, man.
Yeah, it sounds crazy talking about it, but I only can go by what I see and what I record. You know.
Oh,
I mean, if I was
just the
saying all this-
implications.
yeah. But I mean, like I said, there's stuff there to figure out. Like, you know,
Mhm.
it kind of depends on how far you want to go and how far you're allowed to go, I guess. Sort of two things, I would say.
You ever mess with a Ouija board and try to make stuff more intense?
No, yeah. I don't try to talk to anything. I don't try to bring anything in. I just turn my cameras on, dude, and just walk away. But there's no, because to me, like, that's just going down a path I don't want to go. What if I talk to the wrong thing? You know what I'm saying? So, like I said,
Yeah, I mean,
I try to. I'm at a comfortable distance of how everything is. Everyone always says, just ask them what they want. Maybe I don't want to know what they want. How everything is fine. They come look at me, they leave. You know, I might wake up with some holes on my leg, whatever, pretty much. But like, you know, 'cause I hear people who like possessions and stuff. Like, I don't want to mess with anything that has anything to do with that or go down that road. 'Cause I believe that's possible, considering the stuff I've seen. Like, I don't want to deal with that, so I don't try to talk to anything. Just do what you do. Try to. I don't want to see too much, and hopefully I can record something, but I don't try to interact too much. Because, like I said, you know,
here's a question right here.
Oh, yes.
If you want to hold that thought, John, Melinda was asking. Sorry if you said this already, but what age were you when you first started seeing, experiencing things, John?
I believe there's things happening my whole life, but like the first incident where I knew for sure was when I seen the aliens when I was 15, and that's
15,
when I was
right.
like, but then as time went on, I looked back at stuff that happened as I was a child, and I could like, okay, that was definitely weird, you know, like stuff like that. So I was able to look back at a couple things, but that was the first time I was actually aware. Yeah,
Cool.
and then
Very
it's just
interesting.
it's been a roller coaster ever since.
Cool. I want to say hi to the Gorilla Gamer. Thank you for being here, and Mr. Catfish just got it. Thank you guys. Thank you everybody for being here. Make sure to if you have questions, feel free to put them in. Okay. So then, what are some of those earlier ones? Can you remember some of those before you were 15 experiences that are odd?
Yeah, when I was 6, 7, somewhere in there, I had the same dream of like UFOs for 2 years. I had it at least 100 times, I would say, the same dream. You know, it was just me looking out a window at UFOs. Back then, I didn't think nothing of it. I still was having the same dream. But after all the other stuff happened, and I was like, maybe that wasn't a dream. You know, I can't say for sure, but I mean, I had like not like the same kind of dream. I had the same dream. Sometimes I had the same dream a couple times in one night. You know, it was crazy. It's burned in my brain. Like, I remember a dream so clear. I had it so many times.
Can you walk us through the beginning and the end of the dream in detail, and also detail what the UFOs look like and how many they were?
Yeah. So my dream was I was looking out my living room window. I remember I had like one of those old school shirts that had like red and white stripes with like the white collar with the 2 buttons and had the white cuffs. Like, so a shirt like that. I was just pointing out the window, like happy, and there was like 20 UFOs in the sky, like at different distances from me, at different heights, just all over the sky. And I was like, I'll turn around almost like I was looking at myself, saying, you know, look. And that was it.
Wow.
And I had that dream over and over and over and over and over and over.
And what were the shapes of the UFOs? You said there was like about 20 of them at different distances from you, but what did they look like? Were they all different?
Yeah, it looked like the classic ones, like the saucer, and it had lights on the bottom that went all the way around, like individual lights,
Okay.
like in a circle around the edge, and they're all just like hovering, but different spots in the sky.
Wow.
And I was pointing out the window, like looking behind me, like I'm looking at myself, like, hey, look. Like I remember, I was like happy, like I had a dream so many times. I remember what my hair looked like and everything, dude. Yeah.
That's pretty wild, man.
And then, like in fourth grade, I remember having, for some reason, I had the idea that aliens were like the creators, right? Which was weird to me because I never thought about that stuff. We weren't talking about that stuff. It had nothing to do with anything. It was something I never even thought of ever. I remember having that thought in the middle of class. And the reason I remember it because it was the most random thought I could have ever had at that time in my life. Like I wasn't even thinking about that subject.
Right.
I just remember like sitting in class and I looked up and I was like, I think aliens created us. I think that's what it is. But I never even was religious. I never thought of that subject ever. And that's why I remember thinking that. I always remembered that, but it didn't really mean much to me until, after the fact. And I looked back and I was like, maybe that meant something. But I didn't even use the term like alien back then. I never even said that word probably as a kid. Like I was into that stuff.
Right.
Like it wasn't something I would have thought about. Is why I remembered it so clearly. And then it was nothing for a while, and then I was 15, and then
right.
Stuff was yearly. Then sometimes it was monthly, weekly, daily. Then I would switch back to monthly. Then maybe I'll skip a couple of years, and maybe it'll be every day for a few days. And since 2 years ago, I started recording. It's now every day.
Damn.
And it progresses. And I would hope one day, like my goal is to like find like somebody like who can invest in like trying to figure out what I got going on, like almost like set up a place, invest in like the best cameras money can buy, all the high expensive infrared stuff, right? And just let me stay there for like 6 months. You just record away, like, I feel like, and not just me, even other people like me. I'm not even saying me specifically. Anybody like me, you're gonna end up getting some evidence. Anybody who is able to record anything, like, I'm not doing nothing special. I'm plugging in a $40 camera. And, imagine with somebody with experience and the money and the technology to imagine taking the technology from Skinwalker Ranch and apply it to like a house I live in. You know what I'm saying? Like the odds of you getting good evidence just multiplied just for that fact alone. And like I said, I'm not even just saying it's me. Because there's people like me that have crazier stuff going on than I do. I'm like barely in this. These other people got some, like any of them, like nobody does it. So I don't get it. To me, it makes sense. Like they're not going to send in Hulu, and they're not going to get all this ghost information. Like, it doesn't work that way. You got to send in the people who can record it in the first place, and then that's what I think.
No, that makes sense.
I don't think it's stuff being researched properly, or maybe not as enough as it should be. Like people. The evidence gets questioned so hard, people deem it almost unusable, unless it meets their criteria of what evidence looks like,
Yeah.
It gets dismissed very fast. But like I said, I'll meet somebody along the way, hopefully, and I'm just trying to find answers and produce evidence for people. I don't know nothing really like the opportunities here. Like I don't want to like die and not be able to figure something out or have all this stuff be for nothing. Like there's an opportunity to figure something out, So
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it'll happen eventually.
Not for nothing, but if I make a fortune from podcasting, I'm willing to do this for John. So
excellent. who's that one guy who funds Skinwalker Ranch? I forget
Robert
his
Bigelow.
name.
Bigelow?
Yeah.
Oh wait, Robert
Oh,
Bigelow's the
no,
original one, but there's a
the
new
other
one.
guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
The guy in the suit.
Brandon
Yeah,
Frugal.
Yeah, that's why I call him up. Like, yo, dude, listen, all you gotta do is get a studio apartment and get some cameras and just watch me like a hawk for 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
They could even set it up like perfect lighting, like just like everything white, or
Right.
bright colored.
IR cameras everywhere, motion sensors, audio equipment recording, paranormal.
I'd put it
equipment.
outside too, 24/7. Because what if
No.
you draw in shit for like UFOs, UAPs all the time?
The whole place, just rig the whole place and just put me in there. Just put me in there. That's all
Do
you
you
gotta
think? Do you wonder if that would put too much heat on you, and maybe that would make it stop? You know, I've heard that as well.
Look at Mindy's comment. Put that up there.
Yeah.
Call back.
Yeah. Mindy says if Wild Trees gets $1 million from aliens, I could fund John. Yeah, because that's what I would ask. I was just giving an example how if I saw a UFO, what I would do is just compliment it out loud, be like, "That's an awesome UFO. Whoever's in it, awesome." I would not approach it. I would turn around, but out loud, I would say, "It'd be great if I had $1 million under my bed when I woke up." And so
that's funny. So
I think that might happen.
Well, part of what I do is to build up a collection of my stuff to hopefully one day present to somebody who can take that project seriously. I think my evidence is good, but it's not quite enough. It doesn't have that one thing, I think, where someone could look at a video one time and say that's exactly what he said it was. It takes a lot of watching shit in slow motion, looking at frames, like a lot of work's involved. But,
I think your evidence is good proof of concept.
Right.
I think if somebody had like a small staff, God, I wish I had a small staff now. I would definitely want to do that.
But no,
like
you definitely
said,
brought it
some
forward.
kind of AI.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, there's stuff out there. There's ways to collect evidence. Like why not? It's a rough place to maneuver. The ufology, paranormal, online universe. It's very rough.
That's part of the reason I haven't made my podcast niche in paranormal. It's because I don't want to be labeled as such. I kind of want to dip my wing out, kind of be a fanboy.
I've come to realize that the ufology doesn't even exist. That I'm done using that umbrella. I just think it's a bunch of people using ufology to maneuver in the same space. I can't call it all ufology no more. You know what I'm saying? It's just a bunch of people who like the topic and are doing different things and different, they have different agendas. And I used to think it was all people trying to do the same thing. All like trying to go to the same place, like try to find the answers.
Yeah. Right.
But I'm also trying to expect YouTube not to be YouTube either. So, I mean, it's like a weird place to be. And plus, I'm an experiencer, so I take it a little different as well. So it's like a minefield out there.
But I think if we look at the bigger picture, which I like to do, is like, okay, why is UFOlogy this way, like you described? First of all, you're right. That's the way it is. It's, you were describing an unorganized group of people, very unorganized, decentralized. They have different agendas, people studying UFOs specifically or the paranormal. Why is it like that? To me, it reminds me of the Wild West. There is no regulation. Everything goes, and because of that, there's no progress being made. That's a consequence. But why is it that way?
I thought about that, dude.
All right, let's hear it. Let's hear yours.
I've been thinking
wait.
about that too.
I got to tell you again, it's a hypothesis.
Hypothesis. I gotta delete the word theory out of my vocabulary.
Get it out of there.
Man, jeez. What were we talking about again? Completely lost my track.
Oh, my bad. Okay,
I'll get. Why you think ufology is a train wreck?
Yeah.
Oh. And before I say this, I want to say I like this person too. Before I continue, but I think it all started when Coast to Coast Radio first started.
Really?
Yeah, listen to me. Yeah, because I think before that time that's where like the old school researchers were, right? The ones who were really out there putting research, which got popular. So he made the radio show. But in
Yes.
making a radio show, there's a lot of people coming on who I would say are not very credible people who are making stuff up, and they start getting popular. Like you had people calling on members saying they're aliens. Like there's some wild stories. Those people got popular. Those people end up turning into ufologists and now are spread out amongst the community using those same methods because they realize they can make money because there's nobody checking. It's not Art Bell's fault. It's just what naturally happened. There's no vetting of the people. They came in, they could say fantastic stuff with no credit, and they get attention, and they started getting book deals and making a little bit of money, and that grew into a business, and it just spread. And I think what we're dealing with now is the creation from that. Not saying he did anything wrong. I just think that's just how it happened. I mean,
Wow.
I used to listen to that show and I used to get excited, but after a while, I was like, some of the stuff's like, wait, like, hold on, you can't just say that without like zero evidence. But then, they'll get popular and there'll be regular guests, then they start networking, and, that's what I think happened.
That's fascinating, bro. You're a deep thinker, man. I like you're putting forth a lot of new ideas, and I like.
What if they were controlled opposition, like trying to make us sound crazy?
Well, I just think they realize they can make money and they don't have to have evidence, or they can just say stuff and make money and not have to prove it, and that's where stuff went downhill. Because a lot of people did get popular for being on that show, and they started pushing it further and further how crazy their stories could be.
Yeah, Coast to Coast is ground zero for that stuff, and it is wild.
I said, that didn't happen intentionally. I think it's an awesome show. It's just a bad effect of the show in general.
That's fascinating. I like that though a lot. That makes sense. Scotty B says no progress in the Bigfoot world. They could get more done if they work together. Well, let me go back to my original idea. Okay, so why?
I'm sorry.
I was just going to finish my original. Yeah, no problem. We could pick up from there. My original idea was like, okay, why is it this way? Why is it the Wild West and the Bigfoot paranormal UFO community? Well, I describe what it is. It's like the Wild West. There's no organization. There's no respect. There's no progress. That's all bad. Well, I think part of the reason is because I do think paranormal stuff is rare or rarely perceived by people. So either it doesn't happen that much, or what could also be likely, it does happen a lot, but people rarely notice it. So it's not that big of a deal. Specifically scientists. Scientists don't notice it. Another reason is because as far as the scientists, there's so much stuff we don't understand about the world already that doesn't have anything to do with paranormal. We don't understand a lot about medicine, for instance, physics, animals. And so that puts a lot of pressure on them to concentrate on those things and not organize themselves with the other things, the paranormal things, because there's also more risk involved with the paranormal things. A scientist or an individual would rather study something that is not fringe because they don't have the risk of losing their money or time. So the conclusion this brings me is that if we are going to take the paranormal seriously, it's not going to come from the outside. We have to get ourselves together. We're the only ones that can save this thing. Somebody in the community has to be like, let's take this seriously. Let's like level up. Let's advance. Or a group of people have to say that. And I'm not sure if that's likely to happen.
Yeah,
I think the interdimensional part has to be accepted more than it's just a monkey that's hiding.
I think that pretty
that's
much
where
is. I hope so.
Nobody wants to chase the interdimensional rabbit hole.
It just doesn't make sense. The physical one is always living in the woods. It does not make sense. There's not enough evidence. There should be more. Just naturally, you get a couple of footprints because they hop in and out of the dimension. They're only taking a few steps. They're not running around. I think they hop in. I think they stay close to where they were at, and whatever they're here to do, they do, and kind of leave. Maybe the plants here are different in there. Who knows? It could be something as simple as that. Maybe ours somehow grew a little differently. Maybe they taste different. It could be something that stupid, and they just have the ability to hop over. You know,
It's just weird how they still have that animal-like curiosity, even though they clearly have the advanced knowledge and physics and intention than we are.
That's what I was saying. Think if like primates or like cavemen, or whatever, like they never were intervened by other beings, if you believe that, and just naturally evolved. Maybe they didn't have the capability to even become as smart as we are naturally.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's just, I don't know. It just makes sense to me.
I think it's funny how they eat peanut butter with their fingers, but they can travel to a different dimension. That's always been like the funniest part of the whole thing is like they're clearly smarter than us, more advanced, can do some kind of no clipping for lack of a better word, but yet you put peanut butter out, it's game on.
I think a lot of stuff's dimensional. This is like the alien things. Like there's probably some from space, but I'm sure most are dimensional.
Hey, I'll be right back, guys. I just got to go to the bathroom. I'll be right back.
And the dog men and the little people, not like Peter Dinklage, but I'm talking like little people from Alaska.
I don't know if I heard about them.
Oh yeah, Alaska and Mexico are full of like little,
like
not
gnomes?
goblins. Yeah, kind of like that, but like 3 feet tall or smaller, just popping in and out of the woods.
There's that stuff everywhere, man. But it's everywhere though it's different. But yeah, there's always little creepy 3-foot creatures creeping around in some country, Brazil, Mexico.
Yeah, especially places that aren't like encrypted. Oh, Mindy's asking about the dogman. The dogman's like it's encrypted like a Bigfoot, but it's not as popular. It's like I don't know. It's like a 6-foot dude, looks like a dog in the face.
I've seen pictures of it.
Yeah,
pictures I believe are credible. It looks like a guy with a dog head.
Yeah, gives werewolf vibes, but like people see them places.
It looks really like a dog head, like it really looks like a dog, like more than does human. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it's like a diesel, muscular head of a dog.
I think they no clip in and out just like Bigfoot does. They're just not as popular. I think Bigfoot gets seen more often.
Because Long Island Bigfoot has some really good evidence, and some of his pictures of Bigfoot have other beings around in that same area that I see all the time. That's why I want to link up with him and go on one of his things with him, because I like to record while I'm with him. Maybe I can capture something that he's not, or maybe I can see something differently, or whatever. Try to assist him in getting more evidence.
Yeah, they see dogmen everywhere, Mindy. Even up there in Minnesota, Randy's neighbor says dogmen are on his place.
Yeah, they're creepy. I've seen a couple of pictures, man. I wouldn't want to see one face to face.
They're in Mexico, and I don't know. Of course, I'm just going to go ahead and say they're in Florida just because it's Florida. But definitely,
they're in Texas. There's
Texas
sightings, Texas video. So.
They actually barbecue them over mesquite in Texas. It's delicious.
If you look up Thinker Thunker's channel, Thinker Thunker, one word on YouTube, just type in Dogman Thinker Thunker, and he did a video on a Texas video of a Thinker Thunker. I'm not sure. It looks like a dog. It's definitely a Bigfoot type creature. Perhaps it is a Dogman, but it's a very interesting video.
Yeah, it's probably just another variation of cryptid. You know what it is.
It could maybe fit my theory. It could have been from the same place where Bigfoot came from. It could have been a dog that naturally evolved into a Dogman.
Oh, wow!
It could be the same thing, right? It would fit with the hypothesis, and
there you go. I love it. Going back real fast, Melinda had said, think of how the original colonies were here in the U.S. They needed a reason to be unified, talking about the UFO paranormal community. Before that reason came along, they were very individualistic. And also, I was going to say, Bobby, you said something that kind of, how can we get unified? Well, Bobby, you said something in the Bigfoot community. You said we need to just start accepting certain things and just stop disagreeing on them. that's how we could start making some progress. So we need you the interdimensional hypothesis, or take it seriously at least.
Mm-hmm.
We could get unified on some simple things like that. We could start make some progress.
If they started making an effort toward like maybe searching the different things like people hear about from experiencers like Randy, instead of just going out in the woods and hoping to see a monkey by wood knocking. I hate wood knocking. Or putting up game cameras. Game cameras aren't going to work.
I think it's a good idea too to try to find people who are trying to accomplish the same thing you are. You know, because you can't expect everybody in the Bigfoot community trying to think they're all trying to do the same thing, because it's not just how it is. You gotta stop like expecting others to be doing the same thing you're doing, and just find the other people that do what you do, or trying to accomplish what you're trying to accomplish, and link up with them. Because that was my problem. Like I had a thing like where I thought ufologists should act a certain way and do certain things, you know. And I just realized everyone's not on the same page. You just got to find the people who are, and just roll with those people, you know.
I think it's funny. Ufologists are basically the fish in Poker's Cove saying they had a human sighting.
I hate the phrase ufologist.
You're the ones being observed.
I hate the word ufologist and experiencer.
Yeah.
I don't like those two phrases.
Interesting.
I
understand a ufologist.
Yeah, but it's a label that you can just give yourself. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, I could call myself that if I wanted to, you know, but like, I'm just a guy recording, trying to figure stuff out. I'm not going to claim I'm a ufologist. And that's where it starts. That's where I think problems start, when you start labeling yourself things, and, you know.
Or being an expert in something that has zero evidence.
Yeah, you know.
I'm an expert. How?
Yeah. You know, I've been doing this for 30 years, and all you've been doing is having a YouTube channel looking at stuff like, you know, like the phrase gets thrown around, like, anyone can use it. So that's why I don't like that term ufologist, because anyone can add it to their name, and all of a sudden, you know, they're an expert.
I just had a thought hit me that's not related to the current topic, but we should ask the Bigfoot people we've talked to if they had any kind of experience that may have lifted their veil, their veil. I never even thought about asking those guys.
I think Randy might have said something. Yeah.
I don't know. I'd have to go back through. I'm supposed to go meet him next week. I don't think I'm going to.
I see Melinda asked a question about MUFON. Aren't they the group who should be doing what you're saying? Well, that depends on your location, because it seems like MUFON in the Philadelphia area is terrible. You know, it depends on the group. Like I was saying on your show, they told me my evidence was fake. You know, I was wasting their time, and they ghosted me. That was MUFON Philadelphia. I'm sure MUFON Fort Worth might have a different crew of people who approach it differently. It really depends where you live. Where I live is not a good place for MUFON. They don't do a good job, but I've heard they're great. So I can't trash the whole organization. It's just you got to find the group who takes it seriously, or a group who's not so arrogant they won't even look at footage you present them. You know, like it's hit or miss. It depends who's working in your area.
If they've got the authenticity, if they've got these guys who are measuring authenticity, where's this bank of footage that's real to them? Where's their Smithsonian booth?
Yeah.
How do you know it's fake and real? You don't have anything. MUFON. Alan Heinrich's dead. He was your only friend.
The real footage doesn't make it out that far. I'm pretty confident that 90%, maybe even 95% of what you see on the news or TV, mainstream, all that kind of stuff, that's all fake stuff.
Oh yeah.
You know? That's supposed to be my concern now, is finding people that have, you know, a bunch of evidence of these experiences, because just so many people. It's ridiculous. And it's like, some of these people don't want to share their stuff because they don't want to be ridiculed, and some people just don't want to share their stuff in general, or some people try to share them stuff and no one will take them seriously. So I feel like the real good stuff is suppressed while we discuss a UFO clip that the government released that's more than likely not a UFO, because why would they share a video of a UFO? It's like, why would they?
It's funny. It's
you know, that.
Yeah. I was gonna say it's funny because I've heard two stories of like really great footage that's shot by civilians. One of it's a Bigfoot video. When I interviewed Subarctic Alaska, he said that someone had showed him, or someone had recently recorded a close-up video of a Bigfoot in someone's front yard, and they just like looked at him. And then I heard the director James Fox, he's directing a movie that came out already, or was about to come out, called Moment of Contact. It's about a UFO landing case in Brazil. It's actually my favorite paranormal case. There were some gray reptilian type aliens on the ground that were seen by girls and captured by the military. Anyway,
yeah, I know that
he
story.
says that it's a great story. Yeah, he said that director said that he at one point saw one of these tapes. So it was a random time he was talking to somebody and they showed him the tape, and it was basically somebody was video recording in a car. This is probably in the 90s maybe. And they were video recording in the car, and then outside the car, right above it, there was a big UFO, like it's bright right above. And then the camera follows it outside, and it's just a close-up video, and it's like the most remarkable video of a UFO. But then he said he could never find that person again or something. I don't know. So I hear these stories, but like you said, they don't last very long. These videos are hard to get a hold of. But you hear about these little videos that come out that are actually extraordinary.
It's not that they're hard to get a hold of, is that they don't make it up to the mainstream level where everybody has a chance to see it. It's like, it's always like the good stuff is like, you gotta dig deep. Like, you know, like I said, a lot of these people, they don't even want to share their stuff because they don't want to be ridiculed or called a liar, you know, because the people who record this stuff is pretty much it's your life. Like, you live it every day. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, and it's just not worth it to them. So there's a lot of, I've seen pictures of aliens too that I know are real because I know who they came from, and I've seen the rest of their stuff, but they don't want to share that stuff. You know, I understand, but there's crazy stuff out there. There's plenty. Like I said, that's the point of my channel now. I just want to get all that data and just keep bringing it in. You know, definitely bring you guys along. You know, I'm gonna give you my scientist of freaking 6 months of evidence, hundreds and hundreds of you know, a whole bunch of data, and try to put that data to good use and figure something out.
I wouldn't mind sitting around looking at some.
Well, I will say, John, I mean, just since meeting you, I have learned a lot as a scientist about your phenomenon, and yeah, so thank you for that. It has been an education. You have been a teacher in this regard. Let me see. What's the name of your channel again? Orbital Reality, right? I'm gonna put it in the screen. And the link will be in the description as well. But yeah, here's John's channel. Let's see, it should be
awesome.
Oh wait, no, I have to display.
Yep. Yes, yeah, so I did was I took all my footage, everything. I see it in the chat.
Yeah, let me put it on the screen. Yeah, so, yeah, there you go. John's channel, Orb-Atoll Reality. Yeah.
Atoll. So what I did was I just basically changed my names because this was the Wreaking Havoc 215. So I switched the names, so I kept the subs. I made Wreaking Havoc 215 again separately. That has like 0 subs. That's just if I want to hop in live chats or whatever. But yeah, I'll be interviewing people, sharing their evidence while loading up my evidence, and you know, try to see if we can find similarities and stuff and figure some stuff out.
Yeah, that's your goal. Yeah, and you already have 2 interviews lined up for the future. Coming up tomorrow is one of them, I think.
I have one tomorrow, and I think I'm lined up to almost middle of January. You know, I'll be doing a show every Saturday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. And yeah, what it's going to be is we're just going to jump right into it. I want to talk to these people, ask them like what made them start recording evidence and footage, taking pictures, what equipment they use, what methods they use, you know, and what conclusions have they come to from their evidence, you know. Basically an evidence-based show. This is the plan, you know. It's, like I said, I try to figure something out.
I'd like to talk to them too, whoever they are.
Yeah.
I've been listening to these interviews, just putting stuff together in my head. Patterns.
And
awesome.
You know, what sucks sometimes is like, you know, I think I have a lot of crazy stuff going on, and there's people that I know personally that's 10 times crazier than me that I totally believe. And then there's stuff that's even crazier that I still question, because to me it still sounds so far-fetched, even though I've experienced.
Can you tell some of those things without naming any people? Can you just name some of those claims where you're on the fence about it? It's kind of out there for you.
People who claim to have friendly interaction with beings like daily basis, like to use phrases like star children or these loving phrases, like I find that hard to believe just because of the stuff I've seen. Like I feel like that's a stretch. I've never interacted with anything ever that was welcoming or like just communicated like that much. I'm not saying it's not true, but it would have to happen to me for me to believe that. And that's someone who's I've stuff I've dealt with and stuff. I still question it because I still think there's stuff that's far-fetched. Or like people who say they can remote view whenever they want, you know. I gotta say I had an experience like that once that I did not initiate, that I only can describe as remote viewing. But
that must have been freaky. An unsolicited remote view.
That was freaky, man.
Yeah.
What happened?
So I go to sleep, and then like all of a sudden, I'm somewhere else. Like it feels like my eyeballs are somewhere else. Like I feel like I'm physically there. Like I can feel the wind. I can feel everything, but my body is not there. But I feel like my eyes are. Like I'm looking at something like I'm standing there, but my body's not there. So a remote viewing is the only way I can describe it. I could be the wrong term for it. But anyway, it was like a red sandy ground. It was a dark red sky. There was a sandstorm of like red dust. I felt the wind. It was like the nastiest sandstorm you could picture. It was crazy. But in that sandstorm, there was a building with an antenna, and there was a being bent over, like fixing something during like this storm. Like I had the impression it was not supposed to be outside. It was trying to fix something to get back inside because of this storm. So I'm looking, I'm thinking like, all right, this isn't a dream. This is crazy. Like I'm here. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm not here, but I'm here. Like it's the first time I ever felt something like this. And so it's bent over working on something, and it just stops, and it slowly gets up and stands up with its back to me, and just slowly turns around. And now we're standing like 8 feet apart, like face to face, just like a blank stare. And I'm like, dude, my mind's blown. Like, you know, and this is a blank stare, same thing. And I wake up by feeling like my body hit the couch. Like I woke up, I felt like boom. I heard it, I felt it. Like it woke me up. Like when I felt like I hit the couch, you know, I jumped right back up. And I'm like, what the hell did happen? I go to run to check my security camera immediately. I never moved at all.
Wow.
But the sound of me hitting my couch is what woke me up. The feeling of me hitting the couch woke me up. It was loud. It was a leather couch. I was like, slap. Like my body was parallel to the couch, and I was just dropped. Boom! I jumped up. I remember I was still in the live chat on a YouTube show, and I was like, I'm effing done. I'll talk to you guys later. Hit enter, and I was like, I'm done with this. I'm not doing this no more. And I took a little break, but that's what happened. And like, you know, and even that happening to me, I still have a hard time believing people can do that whenever they want, willy-nilly. Like, hey, you want to go to Mars? Okay, I'm here. What do you want me to do? Like, No, it's I hate to say that. But this is how I feel. Like I don't know
Sure.
if people just because I have no reason to exaggerate. If anything, I try to keep stuff as based as possible because it's just crazy stuff. But some things people say is just wild. You
What
know?
was the guy you witnessed in the sandstorm? He had like a respirator on or a helmet, or just like a regular dude outside?
Uh, nah, it's like a regular guy outside, like no clothes on either.
Was he human? Like a human like you and me?
I'm
Or alien?
oh, it was an alien for sure.
Okay.
Oh, 100%. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. Oh yeah, hell yeah. I have the picture here. I'm trying to figure out how to send it to you, or I can screen share it.
Yeah, you could share it.
All right.
I was thinking it might have been like somewhere like in the future on Mars or something. You saw a guy outside.
Hmm,
That's where my brain
interesting.
automatically goes.
Yeah, like
Is that it?
the red dust and everything. Yeah, I'll add it. Here you go. I'll add it in a second. Let me just see. Melinda
Okay.
says, I agree, John. I think it's difficult to differentiate between far-fetched experiences. Some or a few may be real, but most are not. How do you decide which are real? Now, if I could answer that, what I do is I live in a world where both are true, but maybe not at the same time. Like when I hear a claim, I fully commit to it not being real, and I think my way through it. I talk my way all the way through it, whether it's not real, and then I switch. I just switch it. I'm like, nope, not 100% real, and I walk myself through it as well. And that's what I do basically, and then I make a decision afterwards when I'm done doing both of those things. Um, all right, let's see this picture. There it is, right there. Oh wow, okay, interesting. Whoa, that's pretty good, man. You're a pretty good artist, dude. I get the impression. So he was
Mhm.
that was a building he was next to, and what is that? Like a pole or a light, or is that part of the
Yeah. So
architecture that's to the left of
I
it? Yeah.
don't that pole looked like what it was bent down working on outside. This thing behind it is supposed to be like one like warehouse size building to give you an idea. Like this
Okay.
box behind it was like a generator type thing, I would say.
Okay.
And then the bigger part is like Amazon warehouse size freaking building.
Wow.
Uh, can you still hear me? Still hear
Well,
me?
yeah,
Yeah,
we can
we
hear
can
you.
hear you.
Oh, my AirPods are about to die.
Yeah,
I have
mine
to
died
put
too.
headphones real quick.
Mine died about 5 minutes ago.
Oh
I got
gosh.
one in. All right, so yeah, so it was a sandstorm, like it was bad, like and I felt the wind and like the grit hitting me. Everything's like a dark red. It's working on that bottom of that pole, and like I'm looking at it, but it felt me looking at it, and it stopped, and then slowly stood up, and it turned around like what is, but like it turned around like I would turn around if I thought something was behind me, like something scary kind
Wow.
of. You know,
Yeah.
like it reacted to me like I would react to it, and that facial expression is so close to it's like that blank stare. Like that's the face. The body's a little messed up. I'm not the best at hands and feet, but the face is pretty exact.
Yeah.
And as far
What
as the
color?
shape of it,
What
brown.
color was it? Brown?
Yeah,
Okay. Dark brown or like light brown?
dark brown. Pretty much how it's colored. Like it's pretty
Oh,
close.
okay.
Yeah, but
Interesting.
like I said, like before this happened, I would not believe something like this was possible, and I would probably dismiss somebody if they said that this happened to him, which I find that's weird for me. I can't get over not thinking that way. Uh, but yeah, this happened,
Hmm.
and I woke like that night. I try to draw as much as I can that I
Can
can't record
can you
or
zoom in?
do.
Can you zoom in on the head, John, from your end?
Oh yeah, I forgot this was on my end. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay, there you go. Interesting. Now, what I was going to say is interesting about this experience. I've heard this once again many times. This happened to Robert Bigelow's wife, what I'm about to say. But basically, a lot of people report when they see something paranormal in front of them, that thing that they see, whether it's humanoid or it looks like it has intelligence, that thing they're seeing is just as freaked out as they are. Like they're both freaked out. So I wonder if maybe when you're seeing something paranormal, not you specifically, John, but when somebody sees some weird thing, maybe Maybe they're just remote viewing you or something. Maybe they're randomly remote viewing you, like you know. Because I believe it sounds like in this case, you were randomly remote viewing something, but you were to this thing, you were weird. You know,
Ooh,
you're a weird thing.
dude, check this out. What if remote viewing is what shadow people are?
Remote viewers, interesting. I like that.
Like, like you know how people say seeing with the hat and like the jacket. What if it's like freaking like some CIA remote viewers checking
Oh
in on me?
yeah,
You know, because I do get abducted.
that's very interesting. I like how you're putting those pieces together. That does make sense.
A
Yeah,
lot of different you know, a lot of different ways to look at it, but sometimes the crazier stuff makes the most sense.
exactly.
So yeah, that's why that happened one time, and yeah, yeah. But there's people who claim that they do this like every day, like whenever they want, as long as they want.
Right.
Which I'm not
I mean,
saying they're lying
my
either. It's just I have a hard time wrapping my head
right.
around that, even though I've seen what I've seen. So
We'll see a claim like that. Look, specifically that claim. My personal thoughts are like I think some. It's very rare, but I think some individuals are born with the super strong powers. Just like some people are born, you know, like Kevin Durant. You know, someone who could just play a sport really well. And so not all of us can do that. I think some people are superstars. They're very athletic naturally, and they do have. But I think they're rare.
I agree with you for sure. I agree with you. I'm sure a lot of people that say those things are probably telling the truth. You know, it's just some stuff just too far fetched for me. I mean, the stuff I'm dealing with now, if I would have thought 5 years ago was possible, I would say no. I guess I'm one of those skeptics who have to see it to believe it. I guess in a way.
Yeah.
Like I didn't believe in ghosts at all. I thought the thought of ghosts was silly until I seen one in front of my face. Then I realized, okay, I guess they're real, and that's pretty much how I go about everything. So I started off just only believing in grays, and that was pretty much it. And then there's a lot going on now. So I guess like that's the best way for anybody. Like everyone knows what they see. Like when you see something, you know you see something, even if you're a skeptic or not. Like okay, I saw that. That wasn't my imagination. But yeah, I mean,
Uh,
there's people that have some fantastic abilities who could
yeah.
almost be considered like superheroes in a way. So I
I
agree
think
with that.
so. Uh, Capital Fast, Mr. Catfish was talking about. That's how they look, as far as the gray you drew, the alien you drew. Blank stare. That's right. That seems to be frequent. The black stare. He says that's very common. Mr. Catfish says they think we are beautiful for sure. Like they admire us. What do you think about that? Do you think they admire us? Some of them, John.
I don't think I wouldn't look at it that way. Uh, Someone said something to me a couple of days ago, which I've been thinking about why they
Okay.
interact with us. Is their theory is like I guess our spirits or whatever, or like
Hmm.
in a way kind of recycled. I guess I would say they were kind of that's the way I interpret it. Like they're kind of recycled, and that
Okay.
goes
Okay.
with the aliens as well. So what happens is when she was saying when an alien spirit says it gets recycled into a human, that's what brings
Hmm.
them to you, which I
Oh,
never thought
okay.
of before. This is like her hypothesis, and I was like, when she said it, it made me feel a little weird because the way she put it is like it makes sense, because if that orb space I've seen ghosts in, so I can now say the spirit or soul, whatever,
Orb space.
is real of maneuver somehow. So what does this say? Then it's just not shared like almost like universally. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Instead of just on the earth. And so she thought was like the people who get abducted are the ones who ended up with an alien soul inside. And that's why you get all this activity, you get all this attention. That's why they take you because, you know, I don't know how I
Yeah.
feel about that. It's like a deep thing, right? But you just got to think about all the what makes sense. It's just interesting. It made me feel weird when she said it. Like, cause I never thought of it that way before. Because there's a reason they mess with me, but the $1 million question is why, and that was her idea of why they would be. And it kind of makes sense if you accept a bunch of other stuff, but interesting idea.
Interesting. Yeah, Betty Double Kick Chick says I like that hypothesis. That is really interesting. I was also going to say here, Melinda. Mr. Catfish said that we're like money; we have value to them. He says maybe they love our spirits, not our bodies. I was also going to say it reminds me of a lot of grays. Sorry, a lot of children when they see grays, like for instance, the children in Zimbabwe, Africa. So in the 90s, there was a school in Africa, Zimbabwe, Africa. And during the playground time, some children in the playground saw a UFO land, and some of the kids were really close to the alien. And they said that it's really creepy. You could watch the interviews. They're adults now. They're our age, but they were kids when you could see the kids interview. They said that they would stare into the eyes. There's one little girl's like staring blankly at the camera. She's like, the eyes. So they said that the eyes were hypnotic, and they felt a strong desire in the beings for the children. They're like they wanted us. They felt like they were coveting us. And then Bigfoot has also said, I've heard this report from a person who saw it directly. Bigfoot stare at children as well. They stare at children like they're fascinated, like they're cute kittens or something. I just want to mention that some grays do seem to have an affinity for children at least. And then this. Go ahead. You want to comment on that?
Yeah, I think we're all children at some point, I think they're probably maybe in the same boat I was, or some of them, maybe they're. Dude, that story is crazy. That's a good story. A lot of witnesses. That's a brain buster.
Yeah, the Zimbabwe story is incredibly strong. I haven't seen any good debunking of it at all.
That's why you don't hear
one
about it, 'cause it is
in
strong.
Australia, right? A school in Australia that had the same type of incident.
Yeah, I think Westfall High was what it's called. Westfall School in Australia also saw a mass UFO sighting. Yeah, school sightings are common. They are. Yeah.
Like, how did the rest of
let's
that?
see.
How did the rest of their school career go, knowing they saw a UFO in elementary school? Like, you almost have to change your mascot at that point.
They have a documentary out now where they interviewed the kids as adults, as Wild Trees was saying.
Right.
So
I know. I've seen it, but I can't imagine. Like, okay, we're gonna do math now. Shit.
It depends. It depends what you thought of the phenomenon in the first place. It depends what kind of personality you have. It depends how it affects you. Like, I'm sure the effect of all of them different. So some people probably just didn't even care. Probably just in the back of their mind, not a big deal. Some people, it could have messed up their whole life, and that's all they think about. There's a lot of ways that can affect people.
Pythagorean theorem, my ass. There's an alien on the playground. I don't care.
I've heard people recently say like the children's stories aren't credible because they're children and they could have been all lying, and I'm like, maybe they don't know what they've seen. Like, to me, like this type of stuff, like it if you see it, because you gotta tell somebody. Like you're not gonna just guess something that looks like an alien, or like kind of just assume. Like you're gonna describe what you see as a kid. Like, plus their drawings, but didn't they say that they like levitated off the ground or like standing on top of the craft too? Like, I think there was a couple on the craft.
Well, they said the beings. They said they didn't walk; they kind of hovered. And I've heard that, like even in the Hopkinsville, Kentucky goblin case, they said the little goblin creatures that they saw were hovering. They're not really walking, and that's what they said about the Greys in Zimbabwe and Africa. Yeah, some of them were seen on top of the ship as well. And I got to say, they had a telepathic message to the children, and the message was, which is heard before, not the first time we've heard this message, that the Earth, we need to take better care of the Earth. Technology is bad, and they were shown images of a ruined Earth,
See,
Earth that had a catastrophe.
that's the part that I always wondered about, because if they're that concerned about it, they could go a better route to make sure that we're responsive to their
Right.
concerns. You know what I'm saying? Like I always wonder that, like telling a bunch of kids you gotta save the earth, it might not pan out as well as going to the White House and being
Well,
like,
I had the
"Yo,
same
we gotta
idea,
save the
John.
earth."
I had the same idea. The idea was like, okay, if they're telling us, if they want us not, okay, if they want to help us not ruin the planet, well, they're not doing a good job because they've been doing it for decades now, and the planet's just getting worse and worse. So, are they just not good at that? I don't understand. That's not a good plan. It's not working.
Maybe that's one of those things again, like where there's like a rule, like they can't
Mm,
help us, but they're just trying to, hint, like maybe tell us the best way they can without interfering or, you know, breaking those rules. I feel real strongly about that, man. There's someone put a rule somewhere about something. This makes sense. If you look at all types of activity, it could fall somewhere in place with that. Like why? Like if you're so concerned about saving the world,
mhm.
there's other people you can talk to that might take it more seriously than some kids in
Yes.
a schoolyard. But maybe that's the only. Maybe they weren't supposed to be there. Maybe that was the only time they thought they had to even get that message across. You know, because I think the theory or the rumor was like something was wrong with the UFO. That's why they were on top of it. They're trying to fix it.
Really? Oh, I
And I'm
hadn't heard that.
wondering if they
I hadn't,
came out and gave that message because they they had the opportunity to, you know. You
yeah.
know what I'm saying? And then they just left and they fixed the stuff and left. Like, okay, we're here, we're in front of them, our ship broke down, we're kind of screwed. You might as well tell them what's up real quick before we leave. Something
I love
like
that.
that,
I
you
love
know?
it. That's a fresh
Yeah,
perspective. Yeah. So you're saying that it wasn't planned. The whole thing was just an accident. They were just kind of broken down, and they just took advantage of the situation.
yeah. I don't personally believe that they land purposely like that in front of people if they don't have to, because why
Mhm.
wouldn't they do it all the time?
Yeah.
This only happened a couple times, you know. And that makes me believe that it was like I said, there's a rule. Something happened, they broke down, they had to land, they had to break the rules, you know. They used the opportunity to say something and left. Because if that's how they really felt and could do something, why wouldn't they? Why play a game? Why only tell a couple kids and leave? You know, they probably just passed on a
Mhm.
message when they had the opportunity. You know? They're probably overcaught.
That's fascinating.
Just an idea.
Technology is bad as they fly away in an intergalactic spaceship.
Yeah.
That's another thing I think about too. Is like I always wonder how, because there's people see different beings, right? Different aliens. There's so many different kinds. So it means there's different kind of UFOs probably out there. I always wondered, like,
Yeah.
is there some action going on between them that causes them to crash? They shouldn't be crashing how
Oh.
advanced you would assume they would be, right? Maybe there's something going on outside of our atmosphere, like like I said, the bad guys, because
It's interesting. Go ahead. Go ahead.
what is the theory about how they crash? Like,
Okay.
there has to be a reason they like. I doubt it's bad electronics or someone didn't check something or they're out of the oil was low. Like, I think they crashed because they were crashed. Like, someone sent them down. Whatever did that, who knows? Could be people, could be not people.
What
Uh,
about I heard that Roswell, just as one example, there might have been a thunderstorm at the time. Well, I heard that with Roswell, what might have happened is they were drawn there because they were doing nuclear tests, and they were some of the first nuclear tests ever. So they were curious about that. But then there was a thunderstorm, a lightning storm. I heard that could interfere with the ship. That's just what I heard someone say, not my original idea.
yeah, I hear a lot that they're interested in the like nuclear weapons and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But like, why do they need a UFO to go check that out? You know, like they could check that out without doing all that.
Unless they want us to see them, unless they want us to know they're doing it.
Unless they're not aliens, you know, unless they're other governments.
Oh yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah.
I mean seriously, if they wanted to go in there and do something, they don't need to be in a physical craft hovering outside a military base to you know, like you know what I mean. They can just go up in there and do whatever they want, pretty much, in my opinion. So I always wonder, like, you know, is that military instead check and turn our nukes off or testing their capabilities, whatever.
Well, here's a comment earlier from Melinda that goes along with that. Good timing. Melinda earlier, she said, rings true with how you guys said before. Well, Bobby said this. Bobby has some connections. We'll just say that with the industrial military complex.
Yeah.
But anyway, Bobby said that the military abilities are about 50 years ahead. That's what he's heard. He's heard that rumor. A lot of people have told that to Bobby. So that fits.
Dark Hour told me that.
And Dark Hour told you that.
Yeah.
So it's 50 years ahead is what the military has. So that fits with what John said about them being remote viewers, probably a room at the NSA with amazing technology. And that also goes to like the government's checking these power plants 50 years ahead of us with that technology. That's interesting.
Like, yeah. So you know, what if people are being taken and the government doesn't know why? What if they're trying to figure out why? You know, that's why I started
I've heard
thinking
that too. Yeah.
Maybe they maneuver as shadow people. Because like, I've seen them with jackets and hats on. I've seen it many times. They have hats and jackets. Like, why would a person who is a entity of a shadow have the need to wear a hat and a jacket if it's just a shadow? You know, like shadows don't wear hats. I'm sorry. It has to be a projection of somebody or somebody who's like half in, or shadows walk around and they buy jackets and hats. I don't know. You know? And there's definitely
No, that makes sense. That is odd. Yeah, why are they always wearing?
They have clothes on.
Why are they wearing clothes? What? Yeah, that's.
And if you're like an actual like a being or a phenomenon of like an actual shadow being, you don't have like a coat rack. You're not gonna put on your shadow jacket and put on your shadow hat and go running around my house. Like, it doesn't make sense. You know, so
right, you'd be naked. You'd be bug naked, maybe.
Because what I've heard, which I think is possible, is that most UFOs are government operated, and they're abducting the people who are getting abducted by aliens to figure out why they're getting abducted. I think aliens don't even use UFOs anymore. I think all the UFOs we see now are not all government. I don't even think they need them anymore. And I say that.
That's sad. If that's true, that's sad. I wanted to be a kid. I wanted to be alive when the UFOs were actually aliens, not the government ones. Anyway, please continue.
There's probably some out there. I mean, I just showed a video earlier of like the triangle craft, so there is some out there. But I think the majority don't need them, just because of the videos I've been taking with the orbs. Why, if you can move around like that, why do you even need one? You know, who's even to say that we're taking physically anymore? Because you got to think that they're so far ahead of us. Who knows how far they advanced since we first started covering UFOs? You know, 60 years to us could be like 5,000 years of technology to them. So they could have light speed advanced, and we're just now figuring out how to use their craft, and they're already ahead of the game.
What about this? What about this? Okay, I do agree that there's some aliens that have been on this planet for a lot longer, like, you know, hundreds of years or whatever. But what about if there's a lot of different aliens coming into the planet? Some of them aren't as advanced as others, you know? What if there's a spectrum?
Oh yeah, 100%. There's plenty of different types. They come from plenty of different places. Like the idea of saying an alien is just a space, I think is crazy.
Right.
They come from everywhere, and like, you know, 2 legs, 2 arms, and a head. It seems like it's a very common thing, and just because they're you know, there's probably different races of each one. Who knows? It's probably just like people, you know, like the Greys. People have described many different versions, you know, maybe 15, 20 different just Greys. Then you got people
Right.
who claim to
Just
see
raised.
reptilians, and then you got like the taller Greys, and you got the human looking ones. Maybe some come from space, maybe some are always here, maybe some are from another dimension, you know. But like the umbrella term alien, you know, it's not all space. There's no way, because it don't make no sense. Why would all those things travel so far? This doesn't make sense. It'd have to be easy for them to do if they're coming back and forth. You know, like it's like you're traveling that far just to mess with me. Like I think it would have to be convenient for them.
That makes sense. Let me catch up with some comments real fast. Talking about commenting on what we're saying. Mr. Catfish says genetics has to do with genetics. I do think a certain component of abductions have to do with genes. I think. Well, I know for a fact that some humans have incredible genes that are so rare that could do amazing things, and I do think potentially we are harvested. Some of us are harvested for our rare genes. I do think genetics has something to do with it. Mr. Catfish says they can communicate with emotions. And then Mr. Catfish, talking about Zimbabwe, also said, so he said they communicate with emotions. He also said they probably calmed the kids down. Not a terrible experience for the Zimbabwe kids. Yeah, maybe had a calming effect on them.
That's a good point about communicating with emotions. That's a good way to describe the feeling when I grabbed my camera and stuck it out the window. Like it wasn't someone told me to stick it out the window, but I felt the emotions of frantically grabbing it and sticking it out the window. It was such like a knee-jerk reaction. You know, I mean, maybe that's because I've never heard any. They never gave me any like visions or rules, like not rules, but like, you know, things to do. Or, you know, some people say they're given like a mission or something. It's never like that. But I do get feelings though, and when I act on these feelings, stuff like that happens, like the video we shared earlier. So he's right about that.
That is true. Yeah, the feelings. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, because a lot of people say it's telepathic, but I wonder. I mean, some people hear voices in the head, but I wonder if part of that is emotion. Part of the communication is telepathic emotional communication, which I could see how that's very beneficial to have. That would definitely be awesome if you could communicate someone emotional. I mean, that's what we try to do. We try to communicate emotions, but we do it through words. We can't directly share an emotion with you. We have to make you experience it by talking to you or writing you something. But that is interesting. See, so another comment says Melinda says I've been to Hopkinsville, Kentucky, while Tristina used to live there for a few years. Yeah, while Hopkinsville had a famous sighting of little goblin creatures back in the day, and they shot up the place with guns. And when they shot the little goblins, you know, the bullets like ricocheted off them. They were like bulletproof. Very bizarre case.
That's always funny to see the pictures of that.
The goblins, yeah.
Yeah, the pictures that they drew of it.
Those goblins. Yeah, they looked awesome. Let's see. Bobby also commented that Grizzly Bigfoot. That's another channel that Bobby's been on as a guest. He lives near Hopkinsville, and so he's always mentioning the goblins. I would too, man. I'd be like, we had goblins around here. I wonder if they came out of a cave. I've heard goblins are kind of cave-like creatures sometimes. Okay, here's something else about emotion that Bobby's saying. Bobby's saying the thing is, I have an emotional connection with beings. Oh, interesting. Mr. Catfish, right?
Not me.
So I say things. Oh, okay, sorry. Yeah, this is Mr. Catfish. Let me clarify. Bobby does not have an emotional connection with any beings, not even his family. No, I'm just kidding.
Nope.
So,
lone wolf.
Mr. Catfish says, the thing is, I have an emotional connection with the beings. So I say things that are sometimes different from what other things of the aliens, but they seem to love humanity more than we know. And John, you said you felt like a loving vibe off the creature in the window. A motherly. You said it was kind of like a motherly feeling. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
like yeah. Part of that is the way they were standing too, because there's two of them. One was a little taller than the other. Like the smaller one's a little more slender. So visually,
Mm-hmm.
it looked like male and female. You know, no difference like sexually wise. They looked identical, but size wise, one was a little smaller. And they're standing like you would pose for a prom. And that's how they were
Mm,
standing, looking in my window, while these other two beings were
mm,
stepping outside of my bedroom door. Um,
wild.
yeah, but like I couldn't get past how frightening the whole situation was, so I couldn't process
Right.
that feeling until like, dude, maybe like 15 years after. Like I was kind of in denial about that because it was like it was terrifying, you know. I wish I didn't react that way. I could have been like, hey, what's up,
Dude,
guys? Like I wish
I
I could
said
have.
I, s- I said the same thing about my paranormal experience. I mean, it wasn't as intense as yours, but I was in the middle of the woods and I got a phone call from some aliens. And I said that yesterday. I was like, dude, I my advice was like, don't be like me. Be prepared for a paranormal experience and try to go with it. Don't let the fear overcome you because then you might miss out on a cool experience. But yeah, that's so true.
The
It's funny
the problem is though is stuff happens out of the blue at the drop of a dime when you least expect it. There's no warning signs. You're just like you're in it. One snap of a
you got to
finger,
be ready.
you're
You got to be ready at all times. You just got to know
I
like it could happen at any
yeah.
time.
That's called PTSD, man. I did that for a while. It's not the best way to go. I was always ready, and that's no.
You'd be like
uh,
Reba's husband on Tremors.
dude, I used to sit in my bedroom sit in my bedroom like in a chair in the middle of the room with like a butcher knife in my hand. I would just sit there
Mm,
because I felt so strongly that something was on their way. Like that I would just sit, look at the window, stare at it with the butcher knife, and fight going to sleep as long as I can. And then
Whew.
I would never remember anything happening. But yeah, that's how it was for a little bit. It was crazy. I
interesting.
bought a gun at one point because of it,
Well,
but that wasn't a good idea.
whoa. Well, that's pretty
Yeah,
intense, man. Yeah, thanks for sharing with us. That does a good insight on what it could happen.
yeah. And actually, I sold it
Melinda,
a couple
just
months
going back.
later. Oh,
Oh, okay. Go ahead, John.
I'd say yeah, I sold it a couple months later because I had roommates at the time, and I was so paranoid
Mhm.
of something happening. I was afraid that I would shoot somebody by accident. You know, like if someone just walked into my bedroom, like I was that type of paranoid. So I returned it to the gun store and I haven't had one since. I was like, okay, I'm too paranoid, you know, like dude, at that time if someone like would startle me while I was sleeping, I don't know what I would have done, you know. I was like so on edge. So I got it for protection and I realized it's not a safe thing for me to have. So
Yeah.
but yeah,
Okay.
that was something I did because of the experiences. Is the reason why I purchased it to protect myself. That was the thought process. So just wanted to share that.
Yeah. Thank you, man. That's pretty intense, dude. Yeah, that does sound like PTSD. It sounds like something intense and yeah, emotional distress. But like I said, I'm glad you moved past that stage. It sounds like you have. You're not there anymore. That's good.
Yeah, yeah it
Um,
helps
so
talking about it. You know.
okay, yeah,
Mm.
yeah, that makes sense. Um, I think I'm gonna just go through the rest of the comments and then we can wrap it up. But yeah, if you have any other comments you want to say, get them in now. I'm just gonna go down the list. Melinda says children are cute like puppies, kittens, etc. They all have big eyes relative to the head size. Humans find them attractive. Yeah, could it be that's all it is? They just think they're cute. Think a kitten's cute. Makes
Maybe I
sense to
don't
me.
know. Yeah. See,
Mr. Catfish says they
this is
communicate love and acceptance. Go ahead. Go ahead.
no. I was reading his comment along with you. Actually, I was going to respond to it.
Oh, okay. Okay, so Mr. Catfish says they communicate love and acceptance, but maybe I'm being manipulated or something. I don't know. All right.
Is your catfish getting catfished by the aliens?
Yeah, that's
Or
like a
reverse
thing. Like,
catfish?
I've never experienced like everyone's different. It's weird, dude, and like everyone's experienced different beings as well. So that's where I get caught because I know what happened to me. So I know what happened to me is can happen, but there's so many different ways it can happen to other people. It's just like you know what I'm saying. Like I only know what I know, and I have a hard time believing what other people is different. But like I'm starting to realize like a lot of these people have these weird connections, like a connection that I don't have. Like there's more of a connection, more of like a acceptance of it. Maybe I would say.
Mm,
You know? But
okay.
that's the tricky part because there's so many different experiences. It's hard to figure out what's what. But I've heard of that for sure.
Yeah, I did mention, yeah, the Stockholm syndrome as well. I like, some of these people seem to metamorphosize when they're getting abducted or whatever's happening to them. I don't even know what word to call it anymore. Dolly doesn't like abduction. You don't like the word experiencer. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's just like, what else?
Yeah.
What else?
Yeah. I mean, I still
Experiences.
use them.
But so, yeah, I've noticed that. Well, people were saying like Dolly and Preston Dennett. They were saying that we're just too scared. We shouldn't be scared. And then I was like, okay, well, maybe it's a metamorphosis. You start off scared when you first learn about it, and then you grow to evolve past the fear, and then you go to acceptance or something better. But then I was also like, what if it's the Stockholm syndrome? Like that happens. Stockholm syndrome, I think, is when you're kidnapped by somebody and you actually like them. You start to like them. You're not scared of them anymore. Because what else are you going to do? You can't control it.
I'd totally get
So I don't
attached
know.
to the aliens if they kept kicking me up.
Yeah.
For sure.
A lot of
So
people
Mr.
have
Catfish
different things that
continues.
happen.
Mr. Catfish just said the emotions are very powerful, though. He says he uses, so Mr. Catfish can summon UFOs, and he says he uses his emotions to summon them. He says also he initiates contact with them through his emotions. Okay, let's see. Hold on. Oh, dang, I lost my place. Hold on. Let's see. Um, okay. Wait. What? Sorry, guys. I totally lost. There's actually a lot of comments. I didn't think there were that
Yeah,
many.
it flooded in there.
Yeah. Okay. So he says he initiates contacts. The emotions move our arms and legs too. All right. So yeah. So he's just talking about how emotions are very important. See, Beth says the Hat Man is one of those common things that doesn't make sense. I spent years chasing him out of my dreams. Years later, I still don't know why he haunted me. Whoa, that's a haunting story, uh, Beth. Wow. Um, Mr. Catfish also says the tall grays are a little intrusive. Okay, I don't know about the shorter ones. He continues, intrusiveness doesn't seem all good sometimes, but the stuff they got to say is incredible. The shit they got to say. He said there's calmness, could be emotional. And then he says, agree, John. And he says, let's see, what? Sometimes late emotions, or tell you what they need or want through that. All right. And then sightings on 18 wheels. Thank you for being here. I haven't seen you here before. Please subscribe. I'm sure glad to have you here. He says hello, everybody. Let's see. And I think we're caught up now. Everybody's saying hello. Okay, wait. 18 wheeler says, oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was 18 wheeler. It's Beth. Beth says, I swear they'd show me more if I wasn't so jumpy all the time. Okay, well
Me too.
that's understandable to be jumpy, like we're saying.
I think I think that's what a lot of this is about. Is they're trying to get me to not be jumpy. You know.
Okay, they're trying to calm you down through the process.
I think because
and it's working because you have.
Yeah, I mean, there's people that are more accepting of it, and they kind of just like dive right in, like they welcome the opportunity to experience that stuff.
Yeah,
I was not.
like Bobby, for example, that guy right there.
Yep. Yeah, he's deep in it.
I'm pretty jumpy.
Yeah, but you get the people who like
we have a question.
Welcoming in. Bob Lazar.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
Bob Lazar.
Do we know him?
Okay, let me go first. Hold on a second. I'm sorry, Bobby. What were you gonna say?
Are we supposed to know who that is? She's not no context. Robert Lazar, is that a singer?
Yeah, who's that guy? Well, I heard it. He's an obscure figure, but here's what I got to say about it.
It's like Jeffrey Dahmer.
Well, first of all, nobody ever talks about it. Rika knows what I'm going to say. John knows.
I know
the
what
most
you're
important
say.
thing about him is how. The most important thing about him is how handsome he is. And nobody ever talks about how handsome he is. They always overlook it. They talk about what does it mean the government has UFOs? What does it mean? You know, he was hired. The UFOs were found in a archaeological dig. No, none of that shit matters. He's just really handsome. He's the most handsome man in ufology for sure.
He's a sex symbol is what he is.
He's a sex symbol in ufology, even though ufology is not a thing. But yeah, I think he is legitimate. I think he's a weird guy. He was apparently, allegedly caught running a brothel or doing something with a brothel.
That's not alleged. That's facts. Yeah, you got arrested. Yeah,
you got arrested. Okay, I just didn't know for sure. That's why I said alleged. Because
Can you imagine Bob Lazar smacking his hose? Or my money, bitches.
That's the.
I saw you.
Lazar gonna have to choke a bitch.
You don't know what I saw. I saw UFOs. You have no idea what I've seen.
Is Bob Lazar gonna have to choke a bitch?
You know,
that funny? He said that.
If a picture surfaced of him with like a mink coat on, like down to the ground, and like all his gold chains.
This seems a bit light, hose. Mr. Franklin's lonely.
But yeah, I don't know how I feel about him, to be honest with you. I don't know what to say. I gotta say the best proof about him is him having a brothel. That's like the most paperwork out there on him that can be proved is that he had prostitutes. Okay. Everything else is just you say.
I'm gonna say my official opinion is I believe him. I think he's telling the truth that he did something. His story's never
I agree with you.
But there's no evidence of him even having a college education or working at any of these places. It's like people have dug and looked deep into claiming he wrote a thesis at certain colleges and worked at certain places, and there's nothing to corroborate any of that. I find that very questionable.
What was the one thing where they've had a pay stub or something? They found him on the ledger.
No, well, there was one thing where they found him in a phone book. There was a employee directory for like some institution, like MIT or something. I don't remember which one, but yeah, he was in there. So that did. But that's a good point. That's a funny point you make, John. It's just so funny that of all the crazy claims, all the crazy stories about Lazar that are out there, the only one that has the most evidence is his claim that he was arrested for dealing with prostitution.
I would love to interview those prostitutes and see what they had to say about them. Has anybody done that?
No, there's the guest you want to talk to. Get those ones.
There you go.
Yeah, someone got to get on that. I don't think no one's done that yet. That's some good investigating work. You got to find them ladies.
I mean, their names out there probably if you find the paperwork for the court or whatever, and you could probably give them some money. They'll probably be willing to talk to you for money. They'll probably be willing to exchange services for money, is what I'm saying. So we could try that.
But they would have a good insight of how he really is. You know what I'm saying? Like they'll see him like how he is. I'm interested in like. Did he talk the same way he talks when he does interviews? Did he talk like that to his ladies? Like, or did he talk like a pimp? Like, how did he treat him? Was he saying crazy stuff all the time? How did he dress? Like, I want to know all that stuff. What was he charging? Interviews got to be done. How much was he making?
Yeah. No, that's great, dude. I'm going to get on that. it's out there. That's an afternoon's worth of work. I'm gonna definitely devote to that. I like that though.
Even asking like, how did you even come across Bob Lazar? And like, did you hear of him like as someone in UFO field before you knew he was a pimp? Like,
I will say one story about Bob Lazar, personal character. So Robert Bigelow, that billionaire who at one time owned a Skinwalker Ranch. Well, he gave an interview with somebody. I don't know if it was George Knapp or somebody, but he said, he talked to Bob Lazar, and he said they started a business together. But then apparently, Robert Bigelow made it sound the business failed. They broke up the business. So Bob Lazar started a business with a billionaire, and it sounded like Bob Lazar was a flake. That's what it sounded like. Like he didn't keep up his end of the bargain, and he passed up the opportunity. I mean, if I had the opportunity to work with a billionaire business partner, I definitely would not be slacking. That's what I'll say for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. But he's someone I used to always believe growing up. I feel like the more I've learned, I got older, some stuff doesn't add up. Like, there's no records of him of like going to school really. He's in a phone book, but I mean, gotta be more records of your existence than being in a phone book.
Yeah, you can't get a job. You can't get a job. Be like this. I don't have a degree, but I'm in this phone book for MIT.
Yeah. But then I thought like maybe the government wiped his records because he's not supposed to exist because he does this top secret stuff, which I think is possible.
Okay.
But the whole brothel thing just throws a monkey wrench into that because like how can you do both? How can you be both people? You know what I'm saying? It just doesn't mesh with me. You can't be Bob Lazar like a nerdy scientist and a pimp. Like,
it seems like you'd have a hard time getting a security clearance with that on your record too.
They don't go together. Like one of those stories, like it's just weird. So that just makes me.
But that happened afterwards. The process stuff happened after he worked for S4.
Okay.
Isn't that correct?
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Is that technicality really that important? I mean, he still had women of the night working for him.
Well, no, I'm saying Bobby said that he doesn't understand how he could have got a clearance to work in somewhere. But I'm saying that wasn't. He was a young guy. He was young. He barely had a record. I bet he didn't have any. He had a clean record. So that makes sense to me. Yeah, they just hired him like that. And you know what? Look, if they were going to wipe someone's record completely off, it would have been easier in the 80s. You didn't have the internet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was literally all on paper. You just burn the paper. You're fucking done.
Yeah. So it's possible he's telling the truth and his past got erased. But the brothel thing just doesn't fit into the story for me. It's weird. It's like doesn't belong.
Right. But I don't know.
He did used to build like rockets in his garage and stuff like that. Like now he wasn't like a dumb guy. Like I think he had the smarts for his story to be possible. That's the one thing I can say.
Well, there's one thing. Look, here's one piece of evidence that everybody says about Bob Lazar, and let me just give some more context to it. Okay. So everybody says that he predicted this element. Okay, he said the aliens ran on this element, and then later we discovered the elements, but we didn't discover the right isotope. And everybody's like, okay, that's crazy. But here's the thing: I'm not a chemist, but I think this is correct. I think if you knew anything about chemistry, you could have predicted that element was going to be discovered because we are still discovering elements, And I could predict what the next element is going to be because it's like you just follow the. I think it's the element number. I don't know. There's basically it's not. I guess what I'm saying, it's not that hard to predict an element. It sounds like extraordinary, but from my understanding of chemistry, it's not that extraordinary. You could predict an element being discovered. That's just the way it works. So I don't know if that's that big of an piece of evidence.
Well, either way,
it is very detailed. Either way, he's smart and handsome. There you go. Yeah. I think we can all agree on that. All right. Well, let's see. Sightings on 18 wheels. Sorry, I'm on the road, guys. I wonder if he's on his 18 wheels right now. He or she. So Mr. Catfish said he had encounters while he had PSD. He's aliens him with his PSD. Okay, and then Beth says smart John. I don't know, but yeah, everything John says is smart, so I agree with that. Melinda says, glad you're better now, Mr. Catfish. Yeah. And let's see. From here, okay. The aliens help calm down. So now we are cool. Okay. Oh, what is cooking now is here. Hey, is now here. I love it. Keep it up, boys. Oh, a lot of people earlier were saying great episode, love the episode. So I wanted to share with you guys too. Like 2 hours ago, probably. Let's see. Yeah, Bobby says in the comments, you never actually say what is cooking, though. True. And then Mr. Cat, here we go. We're on him here. Mr. Catfish. Wait. Oh, unless they just updated again. I think they might have updated. Okay, so then Mr. Catfish says those aliens seem to have the same agenda as us, which is to awaken. Our goal is linear. Interesting. To awaken. Not all experiences are the same. Period. Absolutely agree with Rican. Okay. Every experience is different. That's just how it is. And let's see. Okay. I think. Okay, here we go. Sightings on 18 Wheels says, night before Halloween, I was out skywatching, suddenly heard breathing from some type of mask, did not see anybody, captured an EVP through analysis, and voice said, get him. That's what the voice said, get him. That's crazy. Please subscribe to Sightings on 18 Wheels. Sounds like this person has a channel. Thank you for being here again. We'd love to have you on as a guest also, Sightings on 18 Wheels. What is cooking now? Says he believes Bob Lazar. I think Bob Lazar, I think the UFO community is pretty warm on him. I don't think a lot of people hate him. What do you guys think? Community feels. I mean, I don't think he's been ousted. Nobody's going to throw eggs at him, I don't think,
No.
I think that it's changed throughout the years. I think he was somebody everybody believed, and I think the more people dug into him to try to find some evidence of what he was saying, kind of came up empty.
I think they like him better than Stephen Greer.
Yeah, well, yeah, come on.
What did you say? What did you say about Stephen Greer?
So I think they like him better than Stephen Greer.
Oh, yeah.
I had a MUFON gal on my channel call him a con man.
He's bad.
Stephen Greer?
So bad.
Yeah.
Everybody says the same thing about. Go ahead.
Let me rephrase that. I think he's just using the genre to make money. I'm not saying he's like bad,
Right.
But he's just.
Well, he's definitely doing that. I mean, he is making money off the UFOs.
Yeah.
That is a fact.
I believe is not credible. Like he charges people for an app for that CE5 stuff. Like, I could be wrong, but I believe that he was caught using drones on the West Coast and claiming there were UFOs being contacted through CE5. I could be wrong.
I've heard that too.
I believe that's an actual fact, like not something that's like a theory or made up. But if I knew I could contact other beings, like if I knew for sure I could do that, I wouldn't charge people on an app to teach them how to do it. I would just tell you, what's the reason to make money off that if you can actually do it? And they prey on people who are so desperate to get answers, and he preys on those type of people, who just will do anything, they'll try anything just to believe, or they have their own experiences, they don't know who to reach out, and he might be the first person they came across. It's just it's a lot of talk and no evidence to back up what he says. I think that's, when you're making that kind of money and, have that type of following, but there's nothing you have, in my opinion, to back up what you're saying, And that's the problem with it. A lot of people have a lot of, not a lot of stuff to back up what they say. It doesn't mean they're lying. It just makes it difficult to completely invest and believe in them completely. That's all.
Look, I would just say these allegations against Dr. Greer, Stephen Greer, are alleged, right? Because I haven't seen anything. These hostings, I'll say it's alleged. But it's interesting. A lot of people say the same thing about Dr. Stephen Greer. They're always like, not a lot of people. I've heard two people say this, and I kind of think the same thing. They say he did a lot for ufology in the beginning, with the disclosure panel and whatever. He did a lot of good to further the subject, but then they say and then they add on all the extra stuff that he's done since then, which is not that great, which is interesting.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, there's once you start making ufology like your major income, there's only so much information out there you can monetize and share. So at some point, you're gonna have to make some stuff up to keep that money flow steady and not fluctuate. You got to fill in the gaps with something. And I think that's what usually happens. I think most have good intentions in the beginning, but once it turns into feeding your family, everything changes.
Right. Real fast, I'm going to give a shout out. Yeah, right. I'm going to give a shout out to Bobby Dizzle for hanging with us, staying out this late. Unlike me and John, we're like childless vampires, basically. Well, unlike that, Bobby actually has a family and he's not vampiric at all. So thank you for staying up this late.
I've been up since like 5.
Yeah.
I'm yawning over here.
Just like a man should be. Sightings on 18 Wheels says, I plan to post an analysis video this weekend. Yes, we all have different phenomenon happening around us, but sometimes it is the same phenomenon. All right. See, I think
we might have to get him. We might have to get him on our shows.
Yeah, it makes total sense. I agree with that.
I'm kind of liking this guy. Got a cool logo too. I'm subscribing to him.
Sightings on 18. Yeah, me too, definitely. Everybody subscribe to Sightings on 18 Wheels. He says, I'm cool with finding answers about this stuff, but don't creep up invisible.
Yeah,
he doesn't like being creeped up on. Right.
You never get a heads up. And you never get a phone call saying they're on the way. They're just there.
Yeah, Melinda says they've definitely. So, okay, Melinda's a PhD biologist, so she's backing me up. So I was on the right trail. So, yeah, they've definitely predicted next elements on the periodic table. So it's not that extraordinary to predict an element. You do have a little bit about basic chemistry, but then once you know that, you're good to go, baby. Start predicting. Okay, let's see. I think they're saying hello. Okay, cool. Wait, hold on. One more. Okay, cool. We all caught up. Well, guys, thank you so much for everybody in the room for hanging with us. The room just kept getting bigger and bigger. I got to say,
yeah,
we're at the largest number it's been, but it has been yeah. So thank you everybody for hanging with us. And we talked about a lot of good material. Please subscribe. We've been on for 3.5 hours. Please go to bobbydizzle.com to see all the links to his social media. And right now, I think the main place, John, you want people to follow you is Orbital Reality.
Yes, that's my YouTube channel. Yes.
Okay. I will put the link in the description. I haven't already, but let me just post it on the screen. What it looks like. Orbital Reality. All right. Let me hit enter.
I was doing some multitasking while we were talking, and I just uploaded our Ferrari Nelson video to the audio only portion of my show. Forgot to do that. I was like, oh shit, I forgot to upload my iTunes guys. So anybody going for a morning run can listen to that.
So where can they find that audio only version?
It's on Bobby. You can just go to the bobbydizzle.com. It's all the links to iTunes and Spotify and all that's on there.
Okay, yeah, it's all there. Okay, perfect. Yeah. So yeah, the channel is on the screen. Orbital Reality is John's channel. Everybody's saying this was awesome and it was a go. Thank you, Gorilla Gamer, for being here. Let's see. Kick Check, thank you for being here. Sarah from My Flock Everywhere is everywhere. Please subscribe to her channel. Thank you for being here. I'm not sure if Beth has a channel. John, does Beth have a channel too? People can subscribe to? Or
I do not think so, but I'm not sure. I mean, she has a channel. I'm not sure.
Scotty, thank you for being here. Yeah. Scotty, thank you for being here. Mr. Catfish, thank you for being here. Iowax, if you watch this, welcome to the show. Nina Williams. The Gorilla Gamer, please subscribe to the Gorilla Gamer. Agreed, Melinda. He says great show. And man, I think I'll give you the last word, John. If you want to say anything else, if you think some people should know something, I'll let you have the floor.
Pretty much. Like I said, I'll be working on my YouTube channel, and it's going to be mostly about collecting evidence. And I'll be periodically bringing you guys on to help me dig through the evidence. It's always nice having a perspective of a scientist, to see what they think.
I'd love to.
And that's just my goal. So I'm bringing on the most credible people I can find with the most amazing evidence, and so far so good. So I'm gonna have a pretty awesome show tomorrow night. Starting off will be episode 1.
Cool. Well, thank you. Yeah, I'm excited for it.
I had a great time on your show as usual. It's awesome.
Yeah, thanks for coming on mine too, John.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I will say I'll give some tidbits. John, I looked at the watch time. I think John's episode has the most watch time, and several people have told me they loved listening to you on my show. So, thanks for being back again.
Definitely, anytime.
All right, guys. Good night, everybody. Go ahead and end the podcast.
Or good morning.